Beauchamp is suing his former friend, 32-year-old Amy Rubino, for an unpaid loan. Amy says the money wasn't a loan until she turned down his proposal for marriage. She is countersuing for harassment.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 435 on the calendar in the matter of Beauchamp versus Rubino. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Beauchamp, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were friends. And beginning sometime in 1999, you started to make a series of small loans to the defendant. In total, you say $500. Friendship terminated, and you want your money.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that no time did she borrow $500 from you. She said that she only borrowed $200, but because of the stress that you put her through, she doesn't owe you anything and is counterclaiming for that stress in the amount of $500. What kind of loans, Mr. Beauchamp?
I loaned Miss Rubino a total of $500 from October through December of 1999. The first time she asked me to borrow $100 for her dog. I guess he needed some care or something, so I did loan her the $100. On the second occasion, she had a bed on layaway at a furniture store, and she was about $100 short for that. I did offer to loan her the money for that. And she had wrote a series of bad checks at a bar in Omaha, and she needed to borrow some money to cover those checks, and I did loan that to her.
How much?
The total came to about $500.
No. Not what I asked you. You say the total. This is a court, sir.
Yes.
$100 for the dog, $100 for the bed. How much was the third loan, sir?
That would have been the amount of about $120.
What else?
And then the next loan, the final loan, would have been to, again, cover checks in her checking account. And
That's
that total,
not true.
Just a minute.
And that came to a total of about $500.
Mr. Beauchamp, so far you haven't established to my satisfaction that you loaned her any money. Because when somebody comes to court, they have dates. They say, on such and such a date, I made a loan in the amount of $100. 2 days later, a week later, I made a loan of another $100. Then you don't tell me it was about $120. And after that, well, all of them totaled $500. You have no clue. You should keep a record of when you lend somebody money.
I do have a letter in my possession that she had sent to me
Then let me see
in
it,
November.
sir.
Okay.
Maybe that will help me.
It's a letter written by Miss Rubino.
Ah, so you acknowledge you owed him $500.
That was before. I said that to basically get him off my back.
No.
That's
Listen to
true.
me. Listen to me.
Yes, I did it one time. I no longer feel that way. Well, no.
This
and
was
there's
only a
reasons.
few months ago, madam. A few months ago, you wrote what I consider a straightforward letter indicating that you had been friends with the plaintiff,
Yes.
that clearly in your mind he wanted more than just a friendship. You were not interested in anything more than a friendship.
True.
And that you felt as if because of the way he feels, do I look as if I need help? Because of the way he feels, you shouldn't even continue with a friendship. Pretty straightforward letter and put very well. I have your name, address, etc., and will begin paying you the monies owed, $500, as soon as I am financially able. Thank you for your helping me as I was desperate. Okay. You should keep better notes, Mr. Beauchamp. It would make my life much easier. You're just lucky that you have this letter. Otherwise, you'd be out of luck.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm listening.
I do feel that I owe him $100 for my dog's situation. I do have a pet.
No, listen to me.
I borrowed that.
Shh,
Okay.
listen to me. November 11th of the year 2000, you wrote him this letter acknowledging a debt in the amount of $500. Tell me what happened after November 11th of the year 2000 that you believe vitiates, does away with the debt.
I think that letter is dated November 17th. The reason I'm pointing that out is my birthday was on November 12th.
November 11th.
Okay.
17th is a 1-7. This is a 1-1.
Okay, well, I know I wrote that right after my birthday in which he proposed to me. When I said no, all of a sudden he was suing me for $500. Now I want to say, for one thing, had I just gone with him and made him happy or whatever by marrying him, it was just understood I would owe him no money. You know, we'd be the best of friends and there would be no problems. I won't go all into it, but he kind of thinks everything revolves around money, every emotion, everything. and I cannot be
Right
bought.
now, that's what it's all about, madam. I'm not here thinking about your emotions.
I know.
I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, counselor, or anything else.
Okay.
I'm here talking about money.
Okay.
On the 11th of November of the
Yes.
year 2000, you acknowledged a debt to him in the amount of $500. I want you to explain to me, after November 11th, did you pay him? Did you pay him back?
No.
Did you have a conversation with him where he said, I am forgiving the loan?
Okay, the $100 loan?
The $500 loan.
No.
So now you tell me why you don't owe him the money.
I do not any longer feel like I owe him any money because he has stalked me, showed up at family functions, and sang love songs to me when I never even invited him. He has embarrassed me, told lies, very personal lies to my sister, to my family, that have been humiliating. We always were just friends, but because he wanted it to be more, he kind of painted this picture to everyone around us. Like
When did you realize he wanted it to be more?
Oh, about 3 months, 3 or 4 months into the relationship. I wasn't sure, but after I kept reiterating that we were just friends, about 3 or 4 months, I kind of thought, well, there might not be any talking him into just being friends.
After that, did you take any money from him?
After that,
Yeah.
no, I didn't take any money from him, but we would go out to shopping
Just a
malls.
second.
We would go out. Okay.
Just a second. When did you first meet her?
I first met her in April of 1999.
And these loans didn't begin until October of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
So if you say that you knew within the first 3 months, you
I wasn't
started
positive.
taking money
All right.
well after you knew that he cared for you in a different way than you cared for him.
I wasn't positive, Your Honor. I just had a gut feeling that there was no talking him out of just being friends, and he wanted more out of the friendship. I wasn't
Then
positive.
you should have written
but
this letter a long time ago and not compounded your foolishness by taking money from him. Bird, look at the second hand on your watch. The defendant has 30 seconds to tell me about her counterclaim.
I do honestly believe that because on the basis of 2 factors that I do not owe Mr. Beauchamp.
I'm talking
$500.
about your counterclaim, madam, and you're wasting time.
Okay. The reason is because I encouraged my dad to hire him for at least $1,200 of projects. My dad would ask me-
Counterclaim.
Well, this is the $500. This is relating to.
He's going to get the $500, madam. Now I'm talking about your counterclaim.
Okay.
You have a counterclaim for harassment.
Okay.
Mental language.
Your Honor, may I speak?
No,
wait,
I didn't
this
ask you a question. Sit down.
Judge, 30 seconds is up.
Maybe she
well-
didn't understand.
Okay.
So we'll
I
give her
didn't
another
understand,
30
I'm sorry.
seconds. Counterclaim.
Okay.
Stress.
The emotional distress
Yeah.
was basically him harassing me, stalking me, lying about us having a personal relationship, an intimate relationship when we never did, and
You don't get paid
the
for
mental
that.
distress.
You don't
I
get
went
paid
to a
for that.
psychiatrist over it.
Maybe if you had terminated your friendship with him when you first had a clue, madam, that he was becoming more emotionally involved with you than you were with him, then you wouldn't be seeing a psychiatrist right now. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim. On your claim, sir, I find that she has acknowledged the debt. She has not paid the debt. You have not forgiven the debt. You are entitled to your money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
What's he going to be, Mr. Beauchamp or Mr. Beauchump?
I don't have great animosity towards him as long as he stays at least 200 feet away from me at all times.
Honestly, I have no hard feelings towards her at all, and I promise I'll stay with her.
And now the next case.
All parties on Harrelson versus Stracker. Step forward, please.
59-year-old corporate president Seth Harrelson is suing 53-year-old Shirley Stracker and her husband William. Seth says the Stracker's 17-year-old son Jonathan wrecked his daughter's car.
All right, Mr. Harrelson, this is your daughter, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's 16,
Yes, she is.
and you purchased a car for her.
We actually leased the car for her. We put the down payment for her, and she makes the payments.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when your daughter was out with her new car. You can stand up here with your father. And the defendant's son was there, and he asked if he could drive the car, right?
Correct.
And you said okay.
After asking him if he had a license.
You asked him if he had a license. He said yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you let him drive the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
He had an accident, and you want the defendants to pay for all of the unreimbursed expenses that your insurance didn't cover. Mr. and Mrs. Stracker say they didn't have the confidence in their son to let him take driver's ed, to let him have a driver's license. They told him they did not want him to drive yet, and that they should not be held responsible because your daughter let him drive the car. It's a very interesting scenario. Why don't you stand up, sir? Did you and your dad ever have a conversation about letting any of your friends drive your car?
I believe so.
Of course you did. I mean, that sounds normal.
That
Right?
car was for her use only.
Right. So why did you let him drive the car?
Because at the time I was tired and my boyfriend was going to drive the car, but he asked and offered if he could drive, and so I agreed.
Well, did you have your father's permission to let your boyfriend drive the car?
No.
I assume that your boyfriend has driven the car before,
Yes.
without your parents' permission.
Yes.
You didn't know that anybody else was driving this car, I assume.
Wasn't aware of it.
I'm sure. I've had kids of my own who were 16, who I had this discussion with 5 times over.
But we know nothing until after it happens, and then we get smarter.
Right. Tell me about the accident.
We were coming down the street, and upon making a right turn, he stopped in the middle of the lane because he almost missed the street he was supposed to turn right on. And he went to make the right turn, but he made it too late. He pulled into the opposing traffic lane. An oncoming car was coming. He jerked the wheel to the right. He hit off of a curb. The impact from the curb sent us all the way across the other side of the street onto another curb, a lawn, and into a bush, which stopped us from hitting the fence.
What happened when your father found out that he was driving the car?
He was angry. I was grounded for a while.
Now, when did your son turn 16?
July 16th.
Did he ask you to take driver's ed and all that other stuff that kids ask you to take?
Well, I don't recall if he asked me, but I had planned on letting him take it later on, you know, but not now.
Why?
Well, I have 4 sons, and my 3 older ones, I did not allow them to get a car or get their license until they were able to pay for their own car, their own insurance. So, and this was just the rules. So that was the way I was going to have it with them also.
Did you tell him that?
Well, he knew that. Yeah, I've told him that.
What's your first name?
Jonathan.
So you never took driver's ed?
No.
So tell me why you asked Lacey if you could drive the car.
Well, I was just joking around. I didn't really think that she'd let me drive the car. And then she did let me drive the car, which was surprising because she actually did know I did not have a license.
How did she know that?
We've known each other for a while. Everyone in our group of friends makes fun of me because they know I'm not getting my license till I'm probably around 18 or 19, so.
That still doesn't answer my question, Jonathan. Why did you ask her if you could drive the car?
Well, I wasn't really thinking that she'd let me. I was just joking around. It was supposed to be a joke, like.
Okay, so now it was a joke, and then she said okay.
Yeah. And then I stupidly got in the driver's seat, so.
You knew that was wrong.
Yes.
Now, your mother has told me that there were clear rules in your family about not having a driver's license. Were there ever any discussions, arguments in your house, little tiffs about the driver's license?
No, we never.
Good kid. I don't know if I could get away with that. Let me tell you why this case presents a problem to me, Mr. Harrelson. Ordinarily, I would say, well, he clearly is responsible for at least part of the damage to your car because he did, in fact, get behind the wheel, drove it, and he caused damage to your car, and why should you have to shoulder that yourself? The issue that's presented is, should his parents, who have done everything that they can to ensure that he not drive a car, they've made it clear to him that until he is responsible enough, he does not have their permission to do it, and they've acted on what they said. You felt you could trust your daughter, right?
Correct. I think that my only rebuttal to that would be the fact, okay, my daughter is 16. She wanted to drive a car. I took the time to take her out to parking lots, to school grounds, to big areas where there was no traffic to teach her how to responsibly drive a car. Okay, I took those steps. Nobody had a sign around this boy's neck that says, I do not have a license. He knows he doesn't have a license. Nobody put him behind the wheel of that car except himself.
No, you're
Now,
wrong, sir.
so-
No, Mr. Harrelson, that's where you mistake. But for your daughter's permission, he would not have been behind the wheel of the car. And while you may have given her driving lessons and taught her how to drive responsibly, she still lacked the judgment and the maturity to be able to say to Jonathan, sorry, Jonathan, you can't drive my car whether you have a license or not because I've made a promise to my parents. So that my problem is, if I could hold Jonathan here partially responsible, I would do that. He's a minor, so I can't do that. I have to find that his parents knew or should have known or in some way enabled him to do what he did. And I find that quite to the contrary, they did everything to avoid his being behind the wheel of a car. That's why his parents aren't responsible. Now, if they knew that he had done this sort of thing before, I would say, yes, they are at least partially responsible. But I, quite frankly, Mr. Harrelson, cannot find them partially responsible. He is. I mean, she may have given you permission, given you the car keys and turned the car over to you, but nobody grabbed you by the throat and put you into the car. So, Mr. Harrelson, I will certainly tell young Jonathan here that he's a very young man, and if he wants to start his life out right, taking care of his own obligations, and if you want to be mature enough, and if you want to drive a car before you're 50 years old, because I guarantee you, I'm looking at your mother in your mother's house, you ain't going to drive a car so soon. Now, in the law, because Jonathan is a minor, I cannot enter a judgment against him. I could enter a judgment against his parents for contributory negligence, because he was contributorily negligent in this accident. But I would have to satisfy myself that they in some way either knew, actively or tacitly, or encouraged him to get behind the wheel of a car, any car, and that would be by participating in him getting a license, by participating in driver's ed. Quite the contrary. In their case, sir, he was told, you can't drive. But you have to understand, Mr. Harrelson, but for the actions of your agent, and in this situation, your daughter was your agent, because you chose to give her a car. You gave her certain rules, which she violated with regard to other people driving the car. So, but for her actions, we would not be here today. Therefore, I can impugn her negligence in letting him drive that car to you. His parents didn't allow him to do that. And if I were to say that they were financially responsible to you, I would be impugning his negligence to them. And they did everything that they could to see to it that their son did not drive a car until they thought he was responsible. I'm telling you, your daughter may know how to drive a car, but she violated your trust on many more than this one occasion. So grounded is one thing, but I would rethink it in any event. For the reasons that I've outlined, your lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You can step out.
Specialist Sheila Powell is suing 44-year-old maintenance worker Reuben Hughes and his wife Carol. Sheila says the couple's pit bulls attacked her 17-year-old daughter, Carrie.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 24 on the calendar in the matter of Powell versus Hughes. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Mrs. Powell, which of these two young ladies is your daughter?
Carrie in the blue.
Step up, please. Carrie? Carrie, you were attacked by two dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of dogs were they?
They were pit bulls.
Were you alone?
Yes, ma'am. I was going to visit a friend.
And what happened?
I was on the left-hand side of the street, and I looked around the neighborhood to check for dogs, you know, because I'm in a strange neighborhood and I don't really know. And all of a sudden, these dogs just ran out of the yard and attacked me. And I screamed and yelled until somebody finally came out.
Who came out?
It was a man that probably lived right across Caddy Corner from where the dogs were.
And what did he do?
He threw something at the dogs, and they ran off. And he took me into his house and wrapped my arm.
Were you bitten by the dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
After he wrapped something around your arms, what did you do?
He didn't have a telephone in his house, so we walked across, probably past one house, into the next yard and used another neighbor's phone. And she phoned my mother. She phoned the police first, but they couldn't do anything, so she phoned my mother.
I was called. I had just returned home from a doctor's appointment and received a call from the lady, and she asked me to come and get my daughter because she had been attacked by two pit bulls.
And when you saw your daughter, describe what you saw.
She was bleeding, and she was crying, and I got nervous, and she had blood all over her, and I brought the coat to show that she had on that the dogs attacked, and it still has the blood stains and
Let me see.
and the tears. It's on the sleeves and the inseam.
Did you go to the hospital?
Yes, I took her, I called my husband and told him to meet me at Methodist Hospital, and I took her to the emergency room.
Do you have the report?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
And also brought pictures of their house to show they don't have a fence around their house. Yeah, and I also brought a copy of the animal controls report.
I'd like to see it. Now, you folks are the owners of the dogs?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were not at home when this occurred?
No, we were both at work
How long have you had the dogs?
since birth.
4 years.
4 years.
I read that your dogs did not have their vaccinations. Why not?
Because basically we keep the dogs in the house.
In the house,
Well,
outside of the house? They were outside of the house. That's why you're supposed to
And
have
we
them
also-
inoculated.
Pardon me?
That's why you're supposed to get them inoculated. That's the law, isn't it?
Yes.
The law is that they're supposed to be vaccinated every year for rabies, right?
Right.
When was the last time you had them inoculated for rabies?
When we picked them up from animal control, that was one of their procedures. They vaccinated them and gave them a homing device.
Before that?
Well, they had shots before that.
When they were, I think, like 8 weeks old or 10 weeks old.
So they
something
haven't
like
been to a
that.
vet since?
No illnesses, no reason.
No, illness. You do have a reason because the law requires that they be given a shot for rabies and distemper every year. That's the law. So after this incident occurred, the dogs were taken to quarantine.
Yes.
Unfortunately for you, because you didn't have to go through the procedure of those very, very terrible shots. The dogs did not have rabies, yes.
Your Honor, I guess what she saw when she drove by our house, we don't have a fence from the driveway. Our yard is completely fenced in.
From the back.
From the back of the garage all the way around, and I've got the pictures. We do. What happens is, even though that it's fenced in, we still do not let our dogs run loose in the yard because they are pit bulls. When I came home from work Thursday evening, it was dark. It was in November. I get off work at 6:30. It's approximately 10 minutes to 7. And when I pulled up in the driveway, Valerie and China came off the porch and came up to the car.
Your two dogs?
Yes. And I was like, what's wrong with this picture? You know, something is not right here. So I got the flashlight out the back of the back seat of the car, and I let them in the front door. And then I walked around to the back apprehensively and saw that the door had been kicked in.
Does the back door open to the backyard?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is fenced in?
Yes.
Well, so what you're saying is someone tried to kick in the back door.
Right.
Your dogs got out.
Right.
But if they got out, they would have been in a fenced-in yard.
Your
Nah,
Honor,
they would have been able to get out of the yard, actually. Jump the fence or whatever.
Well, that's... Put your hand down, madam, please. I see it up. If I haven't recognized you, there's a reason. Got it?
Yes.
We have a fence, but, you know, they can get out if they wanted to.
So what difference does it make if you have a fence?
Well, when we have our dogs out, they're on chains anyway, and they're not out unless we're at home, okay? And like somebody tried...
So the fence is useless?
Yeah, okay, you can say the fence is useless,
Okay.
yes.
Well,
I can
clearly
buy-
the
I can
fence
buy
was
that.
useless.
Mm-hmm.
but it's still there.
But it was useless because the dogs didn't go out the front door. The dogs went out the back door, right?
With
And
help.
if the dogs went back the back door, then the second line of defense is a fence. They can jump over the fence, as your husband says, then the fence is useless. So it's like having no fence.
Now, if we're at work and our dogs are locked in the house and somebody attempts to break in our house, Your Honor, I mean...
Yes,
what-
Miss Hughes.
Let me,
You just a second. Your point is someone tried to burglarize your house but was not successful, didn't take anything. Your dogs got out, and there was this very unfortunate incident, and you're really not responsible. Did you notify your homeowner's insurance? Do you have homeowner's
No.
insurance? You don't have homeowner's
No.
insurance. Well, you should have homeowner's insurance.
Animal control, when I got home, animal control left a thing on the doorknob, and it was very vague. It had nothing to say about, and it's right here, it had nothing to say that the dogs bit anybody or anything. You want it?
Yeah, just give him this.
Well, here, you can just have it. Here.
Thanks.
And what happened was, at this point, I'm still not even knowing that anyone was injured. I'm just finding the dogs out. So then, when my husband came home from work, the neighbor across the street said that they did bite a little girl. So I'm on the phone trying to call up animal control to get to the bottom of this and what's going on and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Animal control had came out and left that on the door. And the two dogs were right out there in the yard when they was there, okay? And he was able to walk up, you know, from what the neighbor across the street told me. He had threw treats to him before he got out and then put the notice on the door, okay? So before she got bit, to me, it seemed like animal control should have grabbed them dogs, you know, because they weren't on the on chains or nothing like that. Not to say that they're to blame or anything like that. I'm just expressing that animal control did come when the dogs was right out there in the yard, but did not take them.
It's not animal control's fault that you had not, in violation of the law, had your animals vaccinated from the time they were puppies. It's not their fault that for 10 days she had to wait to see whether or not she was going to have to go through a very painful series of shots for rabies because you had neglected to follow the law. You do not have homeowners insurance, which you should have to cover such situations, because that's why people have homeowners insurance. And bottom line is, you have somebody who's innocent, who's walking down the street, not doing anything wrong, and she is attacked by animals that you own. She has to be compensated for that because she is the innocent person. And while I'm not saying that you are guilty criminals, I'm saying guilty on this side, innocent on this side. Someone has to pay.
Basically, when you have pit bulls, because of the word, because of the word pit bulls, it's hard to get homeowners insurance. Had it been a mutt, we probably wouldn't even have been here.
Then that's what you should have. Then that's what you should have gotten.
Give it police report.
You like dogs?
I love dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You don't just. I'm speaking. You don't just love pit bulls. You love dogs.
I love all dogs.
Okay.
Just like you
So
can be
if
a
it's
bad parent, you can be a bad pit bull owner, and we're not the ones
Listen
like
to me.
that.
There are some lovely pit bulls, I am certain. But when you use the word pit bull, it usually means people who have those dogs for protection. You chose to get a dog that has the reputation, when they bite you, they hurt you. You have to pay the consequences of that. And if you can't get, if my homeowner's insurance company said to me, we'll give you homeowner's insurance, but we're going to cut your insurance if the dogs that you choose to get are pit bulls, I would get a different variety of dog rather than not have homeowner's insurance. That's easy. Okay. What were your out-of-pocket expenses?
For Carrie's coat, I had paid $25. The emergency room was $60. The emergency room doctors to look at Carrie was $60. Clarion Health Hospital charged $132. Carrie's personal physician was $45, which was a total of $362. And then just for emotional stress and damages, that was a total of $4,638. And I also wanted to say, you know, Your Honor, those two pit bulls attacked my daughter. One had one arm and one had the other arm. And when I saw my daughter, I could have cried, and I was scared because I didn't know. I still don't know what the extent of the damage is going to be. You know, she's got scars from that. You know, so far the doctor said everything is okay, but we don't know long term.
You still have visible scars?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you step up? I'd like to see them.
My shirt is kind of... This is where the dog locked on this arm.
Here?
It locked on this one right here.
Yeah.
And then these are just where I kept trying to move my arm.
Here, here, and here?
Yes, ma'am.
And here?
Yes, ma'am.
And here?
Not too much. Just a little one right here.
Put your jacket back on. While I don't think that she's going to have any long-term problem with movement or anything else, she's fine, but she clearly is going to be permanently scarred as a result of those bites. Yeah. I do find you, Mr. and Mrs. Hughes, reasonable people, but who did an unreasonable thing. You did an unreasonable thing when you failed to have your dogs vaccinated. That was just the start. By maintaining those two dogs, you had to take into consideration that if they didn't attack somebody, they were going to hurt them. They attacked somebody who was an innocent. It had nothing to do with breaking into your house. And you anticipated that when you chose this breed of animal. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Two vicious pit bulls on an attack. If they had been really vicious, you couldn't have stopped them.
When I got there, she had blood everywhere. Her arms were wrapped up. You know, she was crying and hysterical.
We keep them because we're in a very high crime area where they're always breaking in the house, drugs and all that.
I'm just glad it's over and I hope I never have to go through it again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Carney versus Valles, step forward, please.
83-year-old Juanita Carney is suing her granddaughter, 35-year-old social caseworker Josephine Valles, for car repair bills. Josephine says her grandmother repossessed the car. She's countersuing for the money she put into the vehicle.
Miss Carney, the defendant is your granddaughter.
Yes, she is.
You co-signed a loan for your granddaughter to buy a car. She did not have good enough credit to take out a loan herself. You say it was your agreement with her that she would work on clearing her credit so that eventually she could put the car loan in her name. She did not do that. And a year and a half after the car was purchased, you repossessed the car. When you repossessed the car, you had it fixed, and you spent $2,779 to fix the car. You want her to pay you back for the money that you spent to fix up the car. Your granddaughter is countersuing. She wants you to reimburse her for the down payment that she put on the car, which was $1,500, and for all the payments that she made on the car during the time that she had the car. Is that right?
Yes.
When was this car purchased, Miss Carney?
January of '99.
And when did you repossess the car?
September 2000.
Who maintained insurance on the car?
She did, but she dropped it in June of 2000.
Did you drop the insurance?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because she came and threatened to take the car from me. Because she wanted to take a loan out on her house, and she could not do that because my car payment was stopping her.
When you dropped the insurance on the car, did you continue to drive the car?
Yes.
Well, you can't do that. What kind of car was it?
It was a 98 Hyundai Elantra.
And how much was the total purchase price?
$12,092.
Did you make all the car payments on the car?
Yes, I did.
Okay, now, Miss Carney, you tell me why you repossessed the car.
During our transaction of the car, the salesman said that there was a mark in the credit report that he could not put it in her name. It had to be in my name solely. I asked her, are you willing to put it in your name once you clear up your credit? She said yes, because one of the black thing that's on the credit is a mistake, and I can clear that, and I'll be glad to do it. And with that promise, I went ahead and allowed it to be in my name, knowing that I could be liable if anything would happen. Right before repossession, I was told that it was wrecked, and she was still driving it around. So I repossessed it. I took the car to a repair shop, and I have the receipts for both of them.
Where is the car now, Miss Carney?
I resold it. I had to fix it, and somebody else did.
Just a second. You sold it?
Yeah.
What did you sell it for?
$7,000.
Who did you sell it to?
To my daughter's friend.
She's taking over the payment. She didn't sell it. And the car was not wrecked when whoever picked it up took it.
Yes, it was.
Just a second.
There was nothing wrong with the car when it was taken from me.
Oh,
I was at work, and when I went out, the car was gone. There was nothing wrong with the car.
Do you have photographs of the car when the car was taken?
No, I didn't take any. The only thing that was apparent was a broken windshield. It was cracked. But what made it so expensive is that both airbags were deflated.
Your problem is that you dropped the insurance and continued to drive in the car. And if you did that, that rendered your grandmother liable. If you had an accident and hurt somebody and the car is in her name, they can take her house, they can get a judgment against her. So in my judgment, she had an absolute right, based upon the fact that you had no insurance, even though she might not have known it at the time, to take back the car. So you acted irresponsibly. So on your counterclaim, you're getting nothing. My problem is, Ms. Carney, that you took it upon yourself to gratuitously fix this car. You can't render her liable for that. And you're not going to get any money either. Do you have a car now?
Yes, I do.
What kind of a car do you have?
A 2001 Hyundai Elantra.
How'd you get it?
I financed it in October of 2000.
So right after your grandmother took back this car? So that you could have done what your grandmother asked
Not
you to
back
do
in June, I
September.
couldn't have.
Well, did you call her in August and tell her you could do it?
No, I did
No.
not.
Your counterclaim's dismissed. So's your lawsuit.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Recreation Center directors Gary and Tammy Webb are suing Kerry and Raul Prideaux. The Webbs say the Prideaux's son, 12-year-old Andrew, burglarized their teen center.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 452 on the calendar in the matter of Webb versus Prideaux. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Young men, have seats, please.
You're Andrew?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
12?
You smart, Andrew?
Yes.
Who do you think is Who do you think is smarter, you or me?
You.
So far, you're doing fine. You ready for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Come on up here. Andrew, you know Mr. and Mrs. Webb, don't you?
I know Mr. Webb.
And the Webbs run a teen center, is that right?
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Webb say that their teen center was burglarized. And their claim is that not you alone, but there were other people as well as you involved. Am I boring you?
No.
There were other people involved in breaking and entering into their teen center. Some other kids. Look over here. Have you ever been in trouble before, Andrew?
Yes.
You hang around with a bunch of kids that sometimes do bad things?
Yes.
How do you think I knew that?
I don't know.
Does it worry you that I know that?
No.
It should. How old are these kids that you hang around with, Andrew?
14, 13.
So a little bit older than you are. Folks ever have to come to the police station about a complaint about you?
Not that I know of.
They ever have to go to school with regard to a complaint about you?
Yes.
What kind of complaint, Andrew?
Ditching and...
What?
Ditching.
What's ditching, Andrew?
Like skipping school, going out wherever I want to.
Go out with your 13, 14-year-old friends.
Yeah, and then,
Yes.
Yes. And then back talking to the teachers.
So, you think you're a wise guy? A little bit?
Just a little bit.
You are, but you're pretty smart, which is really nice. You're going to have to make up your mind, Andrew, whether you want to use those brains that clearly you were given to be something special and productive, or whether you want to be a bum. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you can use those brains that you clearly have, and you can study, have a good time, but study, and you can go to college, and you can go to professional school, and you can be a star, because I think that you probably have that within you, and you clearly have a nice personality. Or your parents can come and visit you in jail if you want to show off for your older and bigger 14-year-old friends. That's a choice. So you're right on the borderline, 12 years old. You have to make those choices. Now, if you were involved in the burglary of the teen center, would you have been involved with it with your 13 and 14-year-old friends? Look over here.
No.
You would have been involved with it alone?
No.
I didn't ask you whether you did it or not. I said if you were involved in the burglary of the teen center, would you have been there with your friends or alone?
My friends.
Right. And if you were involved in the burglary of the teen center, how many of your friends might have been with you?
Like 1 or 2.
How many are in this little group that you hang around with?
3 or 4.
But there were only been 1 or 2 who would have been involved with that kind of burglary.
Yeah.
And you know who they are. You could pick out which ones they are, right?
No, they would choose.
They would choose?
They would choose wherever we go. That's what they usually do. They choose wherever they want to go, and then I go with them.
Have they ever chosen to do something that you thought was illegal and you shouldn't join them?
No.
Have they ever voted to do something illegal?
No,
look here.
Trying to think. Not that I know of. I was like grounded most of the time, so.
You were grounded for what?
Sneaking out of the house and running away.
Is there any particular reason that you do that, Andrew?
No.
Who grounds you, your mother or your father?
Both of them.
Is there anything you want to tell me with regard to the burglary of this teen center?
Yeah, actually there is. Because they say I kicked down a door,
Yeah,
but look how small I am. How could I do it?
I heard that. I heard that.
Okay, just making sure.
Is there anything else you want to tell me? I'm not saying kicking down the door.
No.
Have you ever been in the teen center?
Yes, we used to go there to play pool and stuff.
So you enjoy the teen center?
Yeah. Yes.
See how smart you are? I don't even have to say anything to you. Andrew, you have a choice. Star or a bum. Those are your choices. You haven't been making the right choices so far. What do you think?
To make good choices and
You think you're stroking me? Did you ever see a judge before?
Yeah.
Where?
In Phoenix.
At a court?
Yeah.
Were you in court?
Yeah.
For what? Right here.
I was in court for one, like, something to do with school or something.
What do you mean? You mean you don't remember? Sure you remember. You're smart as a whip.
Not really.
Yeah.
I don't remember because I don't like court very much.
What happened in court?
They put me on probation for a year.
Mm-hmm. And how long ago was that?
A couple months ago.
Have you been grounded since?
Yeah. I was in Tucson just last week because of, like, the running away and taking off.
When you ran away, how long did you stay away?
The first time a day, and the second time 3 days.
Where did you stay when you ran away?
In an abandoned house.
With your buddies?
Yeah, one of them.
And how old is the one that you stayed with in the abandoned house?
12.
Your parents buy you clothes?
Yes.
You think you aggravate your mother and father?
Yes.
Are you regularly beaten at home?
No.
I mean, nobody strings you up and beats you at home, right? So there's really no reason to run away.
Yeah.
You have a reason that you run away?
Sometimes just to get out of the house.
Why?
Because my house is very boring.
Would you like your parents to bring in a circus 3 times a week for you?
That'd be nice.
Maybe if you came home from school and did your homework and played around with your friends, some reasonable friends for a couple of hours. What do you think? This was a very nice chat, Andrew. You may go and sit down now.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Recreation Center directors Gary and Tammy Webb say 12-year-old Andrew Prideaux burglarized their teen center. Andrew denies all charges.
Okay. Your lawsuit says that this young man was involved in burglarizing a teen center. There was a lot of property taken and destroyed. You weren't there at the time, is that right?
That's right.
So what proof do you have that this young man was involved?
I came in that morning, we found out the rec center had been broken into, called the police. Some of the kids started showing up to attend the after-school program, and a couple of kids approached us and said,
Can't tell me what anybody else said to you.
Right. I'm just saying that some kids said that we knew who did it.
That's what started it.
That's what started it. And after we, found out that they had seen that or whatever, and we called the cops to come and witness them. And then my wife and the teen center director, who's now in India, went over to the apartment complex and talked to them, and she can tell you the story that they told her over there.
You can't tell me any story that anybody else told you. Do you have any witness who actually
Yes, we have
observed?
2 witnesses that are here today.
I'd like to see them, please.
Okay.
The names?
Jeff and Cindy.
Bernhardt.
You have computers in your rec center?
We did.
We did. We had 2 of them that were stolen. One was a personal computer which the kids played on. One was just strictly for the kids that they played on.
Are they both witnesses?
Please.
All right, step up here, please. Tell me your name, sir.
Jeffrey Bernhardt.
And your name?
Cynthia Bernhardt.
Who was the witness?
That would be me.
All right, Jeffrey, do you know Andrew?
As an acquaintance from another friend.
But you've seen him?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what you know about this burglary.
I was sitting with my friend at an electrical box towards the end of the complex, and Andrew approached me and said that he had taken stuff from the rec center and showed me things.
What did he show you?
Pens, candy, there was soda. There was another guy that was with him that had a baseball bat, and a guy in the far distance that had something that looked like a video game system or something.
The young man that was with him, what did he look like?
I don't really remember.
Had you ever seen him before?
Mm-mm.
Were you contacted by the police to give this information, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Did you give them that information?
Mm-hmm.
We have a police report, too, where they made statements, Donald and the other witnesses. I have them highlighted, that they had seen the witnesses. Also,
No, I can't read statements from any other witnesses. If you want to show me a police report where this witness...
That's what I'm saying, that they're on there. Okay.
That
And he states what he had seen.
That Jeffrey's statement is on there.
Yes.
And the statement of Andrew.
Also, Your Honor, while we were there cleaning up the day after the thing, Andrew had not been in the program for a long time, and we had found this by the baseball bats where they had been into. And he had not been in the rec center for a couple of months. He refused to fill out or weeks, I'm sorry. He would refuse to fill out a registration form because the kids all have to have a name and address and medical release form to be there.
I refused to sign it because I didn't want him there until he started behaving.
And we found that morning. We clean every other day, and when we had cleaned, we had not seen it before. And that day that we had cleaned, we found that sitting on by the baseball bats.
How do you know this is his?
That's his nickname, is Shorty.
Who's Precious?
I have no clue. I've never seen that in my life.
Come up here.
No.
You ever seen him before?
No. I've probably seen him when I was cutting through the apartments to go to my friend's house. Like, I've probably seen him out there talking to somebody or something. But I've never stopped to talk to him, ever. I have, like, the only time I've seen him was when I've, like, glanced over and, like, seen somebody talking.
Did you take any candy from the rec center?
I didn't break into it, so I couldn't have taken any candy.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody give you any candy from the rec center?
No.
So he's just making up this whole story?
Probably.
Can you think of any reason why Jeffrey would make up this whole story?
Because, like, my friend Donald, the one that he said I was supposedly talking to, like what we were doing, I was talking to him. Yeah, I went over there, but I didn't show him anything because I didn't have anything. I went over there, started talking to Donald, and he wasn't there. So I was, like, talking to him. And then Donald, my mom went over to Donald's house because I snuck out, went to his house.
You snuck out and went to Donald's house?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Because I was bored in my house. And then my mom went over there and started talking to him. He got mad because he was yelling and stuff at his sister. So I was like, okay. And I walked out. My mom, like, was not there yet. We walked to a friend's house. And then his sister came up and pulled up at our friend's house.
This is a very convoluted story that you're telling me, and I don't particularly see how it's important to the story. So you were talking to your friend Donald when Jeffrey was there?
Yeah.
All right.
No, when he wasn't there.
Well, maybe you didn't see him, but he was there.
I wasn't paying attention to him.
That's better. You had been busy.
Yeah, talking to Donald.
Yeah, busy.
The way they got to the pop machine, Your Honor, is that there was a spare set of keys in the desk. They had gotten into that, and that's how they got into the soda machines. And part of what they did is they walked over and gave the keys to Donald, and Cindy still has the keys, where they threw them up on the roof because they didn't want the keys. And that's how they got into the pop machine, through the keys.
Just a second. You still have the keys? How did you get the keys?
My son came to me that evening that this had happened and mentioned, I'm the apartment manager at this complex. The next morning I was concerned, so I called a couple of the kids in the complex up to see what had gone on. They told me about that they had tried to throw the keys up on the roof. I went out myself and looked on the grounds and found the keys to the rec center, which I do have. And I had called Tammy and the director of the teen center, Melody, and let them know I had them, and they did fit.
Do you know anything about those keys?
He gave them to Donald, and Donald didn't want nothing to do
Who
with them.
gave them to Donald?
Andrew.
Handed the keys to Donald.
Yeah, and he didn't want nothing to do with them, so he just tossed them.
So Donald tossed the keys. Were you with Donald when Donald tossed the keys?
Yeah.
You got your hands full. Right?
Very much so.
I can see that. You got a tiger by the tail. He can go either way.
That's what we're trying to prevent.
I see that. I see that. Is he in counseling?
Yes, he is.
How often does he go?
They come see him like once every month, twice a month sometimes.
It's not enough. Is he back in school?
Yes.
How's your older son?
Normal teenage stuff. Gets into normal trouble.
But not like this?
No.
He's really smart.
Too smart.
Oh, he's really smart. That's what happens when you're 12 years old, really smart and short. It's my responsibility to try to look at somebody and figure out whether or not they're telling me the truth. You usually look at body language, eye contact. You look at whether the story has any motive to fabricate. You know, you look at a variety of things. So there's no question that he was involved. I don't know how many other people were involved. Certainly he wasn't carrying a computer. Certainly he wasn't carrying anything big. Certainly the kids that were involved in it were older than he was. And he went along because he wanted to act like a big shot. Yeah, sure he did. I'm telling you that your son was involved in that burglary. He was there with older kids. They gave the littlest one some candy and some other junk, and they took the stuff that was more valuable. That's what happened. I wouldn't make any excuses for it. I would understand in my own heart, and I think that you don't. I really think that you try to do the right thing and that you're clawing uphill with him. I know that.
We told them if we found out that they were responsible, we told the police and the detectives if they found out the children were responsible, they would pay the consequences for it.
Well,
he's
going to pay the consequences with me. So in addition to grounding him, I think that you should find some chores for him to do. I cannot in good conscience tell you that this young man is responsible for the majority of the damage that was done to your teen center. I do think that he was the youngest one that went along with this group, that everybody else was older, that he was given some stuff. Whether he kicked in the door, and I don't think he would have to kick in the door, the teen center, because there were bigger kids that could do that. But it's possible that they said, you go kick in the door. Because what happens is when you do these kind of group crimes, they usually say, let's let the young one go, because if the younger one gets caught, nothing's going to happen to them.
He's too small to kick in the door.
Oh, no. No. I'm telling you, he's not too small for anything. You at least know of several other boys who were involved, what, 2 or 3 that you believe were involved?
Yes. Yeah.
And I assume you're going to pursue the older boys.
The ones who we know, yeah.
The other one.
From this one, you get $250, that's all.
Parties are excused.
Remember what I said to you, Andrew?
Yes.
You can either spend a good deal of your life looking at a judge. You went before one, judge gave you probation for something. You came to me. Some judges are nice, some judges are miserable. There will come a time when your size isn't going to help you. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
39-year-old homemaker Latricia Bishop is suing 17-year-old Anthony Davis and his mother, Vanita Fletcher. Latricia claims Anthony stole her car and wrecked it.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 379 on the calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Davis Fletcher.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
You're Anthony.
Yeah.
You're his mother.
Yes.
You don't know anything about this other than what your son tells you. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
So why don't you have a seat? Miss Bishop.
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you working on the 1st of August?
I was working at Edge Graphics.
So you drive to work in the morning and you park your car.
Actually, Your Honor, I worked second shift, so I worked 2 to midnight. When I came out at midnight, my car was gone.
You called the police?
Yes, ma'am.
You reported the car stolen?
Yes, ma'am.
2 days later, you got a call, and your car had been in an accident?
Yes, ma'am.
The car at the time of the accident was being driven by you?
Yes.
You want him to pay for the damage to your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Not really the damage to your car, because the car was sufficiently damaged for your insurance company to total it.
Yes, ma'am.
Which left you a balance due on the car note.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition, you had to go out and put down a down payment on another car.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are suing the defendant for all of your economic losses as a result of him being in an accident while driving your car without your permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. That's what this case is about. Now, Anthony, you recognize that her car was stolen.
Yes.
And according to your answer, you did not steal the car.
Yes, I did not steal the car.
And that you were involved in an accident. It was just that, an accident, so you shouldn't be responsible. Right?
Right.
So, tell me, on what date did you get into this accident?
I don't really know the date. I know it was in August, though.
It was August 3rd.
Okay. So, August 3rd, you were driving her car.
Right.
How did it come about that you were driving her car on August 3rd?
I was telling the guys that I could drive the car.
Just a second. You're jumping ahead of yourself, sir. Let's take it step by step.
Before August 3rd,
yes,
some guys that came to my house, one of my friends told me he had a car. It was his uncle's. So we was riding around in the car.
Before August 3rd?
Right.
Were you riding the car on August 1st?
Right. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Okay. And at that time, you say somebody came to your house and told you that they had a car?
Right.
Who came to your house?
Everett.
And he came into your house?
No, he called my house with his friend Taylor and said his uncle had given him his car.
Everett did?
Right.
Did they come to the house to pick you up?
Yeah, yes.
Just the two of them?
Right.
Did you drive the car on August 1st?
No.
What time did they come to pick you up on August 1st?
About 12 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
So you drove the car around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. For how long?
Till about 10 o'clock.
That night?
Yep.
And what happened on August 2nd?
On August 2nd. No, wait, it was August 2nd that they had picked me up because they had a day with the car by themselves. They had picked me up the day after. So it was August 2nd when all this happened.
Okay. So August 2nd, they dropped you off at 10 o'clock at night in your house.
Yes.
And you had not driven the car at all that day.
Right.
And they were driving around.
Right.
What were they doing?
They were driving around, it was like a joyride thing, and Everett, he was just picking people up and showing the car off, trying to drive people around to get some gas money so we keep on driving.
Okay. And what about August 3rd? Tell me what happened August 3rd.
On August 3rd, they had picked me up again because we were supposed to do it all again.
Picked you up at what time?
At 12.
In the afternoon?
Right.
Okay. And where were you sitting when they picked you up at 12?
In the back.
But there did come a time when you got into the front.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
When I got in the front, they had just got back from the store. So I said, I know how to drive, let me drive. And so he said, all right, and I got in the car.
They had just gotten back from the store. Just listen to me very carefully, Anthony. They had just gotten back from the store. Does that mean you were at your house when they just came back from the store? Or where were they?
We had all stopped over at Taylor's house to pick up everybody else because everybody usually lives. They were living like close to Taylor's house.
How'd you start the car?
I turned on I used the key.
Really?
Yes.
Did you leave your keys in the car?
No, ma'am. They found my hide key.
Where did you leave a hide key?
Underneath the car and between like the muffler and the gas tank.
I used to have one of those.
Found out it was a bad mistake.
Now, you said I can drive this car, right?
Right.
Have a driver's license?
No.
You have a learner's permit?
No.
So you know you're not allowed to drive a car, right?
Right. But everybody else was driving the car.
So what?
So I figured I knew how to drive too.
I'm going to say this one more time. You knew you weren't allowed by law to drive a car, right?
Right.
And you weren't allowed to drive a car because you didn't have a license.
Right.
And you don't have a license because why?
I hadn't applied for one yet.
Right. Now, how long were you driving this car before you got into an accident?
Only about a minute. I had went down to the bottom of the street. That's all I was going to do. go down to the bottom of the street and turn around just to show him I knew how to drive. While that happened, a fight had broken out, and I backed up. And while I was backing up, the guy that I hit got pushed into the car. I didn't hit him, he got pushed. And then that's how the damage got done. But it wasn't for that. The only damage I did is the back of the window got broken out. But I didn't even do it because dude got pushed.
So what you're telling me is that you only caused some of the damage to the car?
No, I didn't cause any. I was just backing the car up and he got pushed into the car. I didn't do it.
There was a lot of damage on this car, Anthony.
That damage, shh.
Answer my question. There was a lot of damage on this car, correct?
Just the back window was busted out. That's all I knew about.
Let me see the car.
Your Honor, these pictures are showing what the condition of the car before they stole it, and it also shows the condition after.
This is a very old car.
It's a 92 LeBaron.
Somebody smoking in this car?
When?
When you were in the car, either as a passenger or a driver.
Nobody was smoking in the car when I was driving.
I didn't ask you when you were driving. I said when you were a passenger or a driver.
Yes.
Were they putting their cigarettes out on the car seats?
No.
They weren't?
No.
What were they doing with their cigarettes?
They just threw them out the window. I don't smoke, so I don't really remember any cigarettes.
You wanted to say something, sir. You have anything to add to this so far?
Yes, the part of Mr. Davis here saying that he was backing up the street and he didn't do none of the damage. That's just a lie. And the damage was done when he ran over Mr. Kaiser here.
Is this the person he
This
ran
is the
over?
person that was hit by the car.
Step up, sir. You weren't there, is that right?
No, I was just in the court.
But you were there at this accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kaiser?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened, Mr. Kaiser.
My sister had came out Taylor's house and she was screaming that him and his brother were getting into a fight. I walked into the house and they were in there arguing and whatnot, just going
Who
back
was
and
arguing?
forth. Taylor and his brother.
Okay.
And
where was he?
They were going to pick him up.
Okay, go ahead.
And when we was in the house, me and my sister were just standing there laughing and whatnot, and the brother had told Taylor, he said, I hope somebody kick your butt one day. And, you know, I was just playing. I said, I'll do it. And he told me, he said, you want to go outside?
Could you just tell me what happened with the car? I'm really not interested in all this, please.
Well,
it's really not important.
Okay.
Just tell me what happened with the car.
All right. Well, we were smoking weed in the car. Everybody that was in the car. We all were smoking weed, drinking, and whatnot. And everybody was hopping railroad tracks. Just hopping. He had to be doing like 80. And
was he in the car at the time?
Yes, he was. And how the window shield got broken out when me and the dude Taylor were fighting. We wasn't fist fighting because we hadn't thrown no fists yet. He was coming down the street because he was like 200 feet up the street and he was gunning it because the tires were screeching. As he came down, he stopped in the back of us and he put it in reverse. And when he put it in reverse, he gunned it back. And as he was gunning it back, I had looked at the car and I looked at Taylor. And when I looked at him, he was pushing me into the car.
Where did you get pushed into the car? Back windshield?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the roof?
That's when I flipped over the car.
So you were pushed in the back windshield and you flipped over?
Yes, ma'am.
And that caused the damage to the top of the car?
That caused the damage to the top, the window, and the backlight.
Your Honor?
Just a minute. Did you ever steal a car?
No, ma'am.
You ever been arrested for stealing a car?
No, we went to court about it, and they found me innocent of possession of the car.
They did?
Yes.
Tell me what happened in court.
Well, in court, they had just found me.
No, don't tell me they found you innocent. You were arrested. Is that right?
Right.
You have the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
I have 4.
Can I see all of your documentation? Was Everett arrested?
No.
No. Did you tell the police about Everett right away?
Yes, they asked whose the car was, and I told them it was Everett. They asked Everett whose the car was, and Everett told them it was his too.
I'm going to see if the police officer was good enough to memorialize what he was supposed to have in his police report. You have a copy of your juvenile papers, sir?
No.
All right. Was there a trial?
Yes.
Yes?
Ma'am, his charges were not only receiving stolen property, but he was also charged with
Possession of stolen property and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle.
He was also charged with driving without a license and reckless operation were the 2 traffic offenses, along with the receiving stolen property.
Did you testify at the trial?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the result of that hearing?
The case was dismissed due to the fact that at that particular time I couldn't prove that he had stolen the car.
Right. He couldn't prove that he had stolen the car or that he had knowledge that the car was stolen. Those are the 2 things that court has to find beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
In order to be found guilty criminally for possession of stolen property, you had to know the property was stolen beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proof here is quite something else, sir.
I thought I had the permission to drive the car from the owner because I thought the owner was Everett.
You wouldn't drive in a car, I assume, where they were smoking weed, right?
Right.
Where they were gunning over railroad tracks at 80 miles an hour, right?
Right.
Where they were treating this elderly uncle's car with total disrespect. You wouldn't be in a car like that because that might give you, put your hand down, that might give you some inkling that Everett either didn't like his uncle or that the car was stolen, right?
No.
So you think that if he had his uncle's car and that if he used it the way this young man describes, and I believe him because the pictures say that that's true of the inside of the car, that you believe that Everett was treating his uncle's car with respect?
No, he wasn't respecting the car.
Right. Well, that's what I said, sir. So what did you think, Anthony? Did you think that he hated his uncle and wanted to just trash his car? Or did you think that the car was stolen?
I didn't care about his car because he didn't care about it, and I wasn't trying to hurt the car.
But you did hurt the car. As between you, who were responsible for the final act of trashing the car, and the plaintiff over here, who just went to work and parked her car, who should pay? Hama? Between you, who was directly responsible, because but for the fact that you were behind the wheel of the car at that moment, there wouldn't have been an accident.
The car if the car would have been found, it would have been most of the damage done by Ricky. I shouldn't have to pay for what Ricky did. Now, I did.
Somebody has to pay for it. If most of the damage was done by Ricky, tell me what kind of damage now. Now you're going to tell me what kind of damage Ricky did to the car. Tell me about it.
I don't know what damage Ricky did to the car.
Well, then how can you say Ricky did any damage to the car if you don't know?
Because they said when they took me to trial that damage was done to the car outside of the window being busted. So if damage was done...
It's not just window busted, sir. The entire roof of the car is caved in from him falling over the roof of the car.
But I didn't hit him. He got pushed.
You go to school?
Yes.
Do you go every day?
No.
You've been suspended?
No.
When was the last time you were in school?
About a month ago.
Why?
Because...
Because why?
Because I'm about to get my GED.
Well, what have you been doing for the last month?
Working.
Where?
IGA.
What's IGA?
It's a supermarket.
Perfect. What kind of work are you doing?
I'm a stockman.
Anthony, somebody has to take care of this lady's expenses. Do you understand?
Yes.
You know who that somebody is?
I think you're finna say it's me.
I think you're sufficiently savvy enough to know that the car was stolen, because nobody treats a borrowed car in the way this car was abused for 2 days.
I didn't know it was being broken.
I looked inside the car, sir. Are you telling me you weren't in the car when they were smoking weed?
Yeah, but
Just a second. Are you telling me that you were or were not in the car when they were smoking dope in the car?
Yes.
You were in the car, right? Were you smoking dope in the car?
Yes.
Were you drinking beer?
We were drinking Long Island iced tea.
Long Island iced tea.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
It's a very strong alcohol.
Who was drinking?
Me, him, that man right there, Everett, Taylor.
What's your first name?
Corey.
Do you want to talk to me, Corey?
No.
Or do you not?
I don't.
You just came here as window dressing for these proceedings, I assume.
No, I was in the car at the time of the accident.
Yes, but you prefer not to talk to me, is that right?
Yes.
Wise judgment. You had additional payouts on your car in the amount of $1,881.85. Did you pay those?
Yes, ma'am. And there are also 10 deferred payments for down payment on another car.
I understand that. He's not going to pay for a new car, madam. He is going to pay, however, for the damage that he did, direct damage that he did to you, which was $1,881.85, which is what you had to pay after the insurance company totaled your car. So, in a way, sir, I'm very glad that you're working. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Kaikisha Jones is suing former friend, 23-year-old receptionist Tanya Thomas, for wrecking her car after a party.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom.
Who's bothering you?
Nobody.
Good.
Your Honor, this is case number 157 on the calendar, the matter of Jones versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Jones, you and the defendant were going to a party together. And you were driving a car. Whose car were you driving?
Mine.
And according to you, you got blotto drunk at the party.
Yes.
First dumb thing. And you went out to your car and passed out. And at some point, Miss Thomas came out of the party, and she drove the car home.
Yes.
That was her intention.
Yes.
And she got into the driver's seat, started the car, proceeded on her way, got into a car accident, and you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you known Miss Thomas?
She's a mutual friend of a friend that we both know.
Did you make arrangements with her before you got to the party about what was going to happen if somebody drank too much?
That was already organized. My witness.
No, you organized it. You were driving your car.
Yeah, there were designated drivers there at the party because she had planned for them to be there.
Okay. Now, when Miss Thomas came out, she got into the driver's seat. Were you aware that she was there?
I was asleep.
And what was the next thing that happened?
I woke up in an accident. I don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened?
I know we woke up in an accident. I knew that she shouldn't have ran the stop sign.
Well, you don't know anything because you were, according to you, dead drunk, right?
Yeah, I was asleep.
Drunk? All right, so you don't really know what happened. Is that right?
No, I don't know how she got into an accident.
You don't know what happened. You don't remember anything from the time you made your way out of the party and collapsed in the car, according to you, until the time you were in the accident and jolted from the accident.
Yes.
So, Miss Thomas, I'm going to turn to you. According to you, you came out of the party. Had you been drinking?
No. I had a drink. Let me correct myself. I had drunk prior to the party because they had a gathering before we went to the party.
What did you have to drink before you went to the party?
I had a cup of Hennessy, 1 cup of cognac Hennessy.
And you had nothing to drink at the party?
At the party, no, I didn't drink at all.
Why?
Because in the party, I didn't have really that much money on me. And she had a big jar of some kind of drink with blue juice or so forth. I don't know what it was.
That she had
I tasted, but I didn't actually, have a drink on my own.
I don't care whose drink it was. You did have something to drink at the party.
Yeah.
You didn't have your drink, you had her drink.
Right.
Her blue juice.
Yeah, whatever.
What happened when you got to the car, Miss Thomas?
When we got to the car, we sat in the car for a little while.
Who's we?
Me, her, and 2 of her cousins. We was talking. We had a smoke break. We went to the car. We smoked. They smoked or whatever. We
smoked what?
We smoked. Cigarette smoke. Cigarette.
Anything
Cigarette.
other than cigarettes?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
No. Okay. And we all talked. We all talked in the car, so forth. And then after that, she was sleeping in the passenger seat. In the club several times, she told me at the table.
Who told you?
Keisha. She told me, "Can you drive?" She kept
That's
on
a lie.
making. She kept on making suggestions and asking me questions. Could I drive? On our way going there, she said that she was really feeling the liquor or so forth. She was like, "You might have to drive home." So I kind of set in my mind that I'm not going to drink too much, even though she did ask me did I have license. I told her I did not have license.
Okay.
I said, "Do you have license?" She said, "No, she don't have license neither."
Judge, I had a license since I was 16 years old, and I was always told, do not let anyone drive your car without a license.
But you did not have a license.
She did not.
I didn't have a license, and I made this aware to her that I didn't have a license.
So if you did not have a license, Miss Thomas, there came a point when you got into the car and started to drive the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to explain to me why?
I drove home because I didn't have a way home, and we were the only ones left at the party at the time. Prior to me driving home, she kept making it secure for me to drive home.
Just a minute. You get into the car.
She wasn't
She's
asleep
asleep.
at that time.
Pay attention to me, Miss Thomas. You get into the car. Is she asleep in the car?
Okay, she was asleep in the car, but when it was time for us to get ready to go, that I had her keys. Ma'am, my thing is, if I didn't have permission to drive your car, how did I get your keys?
No, just a minute. Don't ask me any questions.
That's what I'm saying. How did I get your keys?
Just listen to me.
They were in valet
Listen to
parking.
me. You got into the car, into the driver's seat of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, when you got into the car, before you started the car, have any conversation with her at all?
Yes, I had a conversation with her. She started throwing up. I had turned to her, and I opened the passenger door. I leaned and pushed her head out the door so she could throw up out the door and not into her car. I was trying to help her out. I wiped her with one of her children's diaper towel. I helped her put her seatbelt on, and I asked her, "Was you ready?" She said, "Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go." Them was her words.
Okay. Tell me about the accident.
Okay, the accident prior to us on our way home, I had asked her, could I make a stop? She was intoxicated. I don't know if she remembers, so forth. However, I'm coming up 55th. I stopped at the stop sign. I looked both ways. I didn't see no car. As I hit, going on over to the intersection, bam, a car out of where it came from, I don't know. I didn't see no lights. I didn't see anything. It just hit us. Bam. I shook her, and I just told her that these gentlemen has just ran into us, that we had a car accident. What? Or whatever. She pops up out of her, she's like, we have a car, whatever. So by us being in the middle of the street, I backed the car up, and I parked it where we would be out the middle of the street. So here come these two gentlemen. They all ranching and raving. She's mad that we's in the accident. These gentlemen, we two women out here, it's 2, 3 in the morning. We're by ourselves, and it's two men, and then they ranching and raving. I don't know what they're gonna try to do to us. I don't know if they're gonna bring any harm to us. So me, with my mouth, I'm not gonna let nobody, do nothing, no harm to me. I said to them, no, it's not my fault. That says, how everyone, you get in an accident, they want to blame you. I'm trying to calm her down to explain to her what went on. I'm trying to explain to these gentlemen what went on. Thank God that we was over somewhere where I have family. So I asked her, I said, Keisha, come on with me and get out the car for the police or anybody. We involve the police or however. You're drunk, and they smell the liquor. She refused to leave. She refused anything. She would not agree with me at all.
Fine. So the police arrived at the scene?
No, I had left the scene.
Yeah, she left when the police
I
came.
left because she refused to help.
You left the scene?
Yes, I left the scene and went to my cousin's house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Keisha Jones says her former friend, Tanya Thomas, owes her for wrecking her car. Tanya says it was the other driver's fault.
So you left your friend alone at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
In the car with two men.
Two men that she was talking to. That she was made herself accountable to.
You left. And you didn't leave and go and call the police because you said you didn't know what these two men were going to do to you. You said that to me a moment ago. You didn't know what they were going to cause any harm to you. So you leave your friend who's drunk with these two strangers, even though you were in fear, and you didn't go immediately to call the police?
No, ma'am.
Well, that was a big mistake. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes here, but that was a mistake. Don't you see that?
Okay, reason why I didn't call the police because the gentleman had already called the police prior to me calling, before I could call.
I'm not ready for you yet.
Okay.
So you heard the two gentlemen calling the police?
I heard, yes, ma'am.
And you took off?
No.
Yes, you did. You left.
No.
Hey, you left. You didn't wait for the police. Miss Thomas, you didn't wait for the police.
Yes, all right, yes.
Did you come back to the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How much later?
Right afterwards.
Were the police there when you arrived?
Yes.
Oh.
They arrived at the same time I arrived.
Okay. Did they give you a breathalyzer test?
No, ma'am.
But they gave you a ticket for running a stop sign?
No, they gave me a ticket for no license.
But not for running the stop sign?
No, ma'am.
She didn't even give the police her real name because she don't have a license.
Well, they must have asked for her license.
She don't have a, that's what they wrote her a ticket for, not having a license.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Jones, let me see a picture of the car, please. Now you can step up. Now I'll hear you. Tell me your name.
I'm Loretta Smith.
Ms. Smith, how are you related to, or how do you know these two young women?
This is my cousin, and it was my son's birthday party. And I had already had designated drivers, and Miss Thomas was not one of my designated drivers. By me being a mother, there was no way I would let Miss Thomas get behind the car without no driver's license and and she was drinking.
How many children do you have?
Have one.
How old is your child?
She'll be one on the 28th.
Where was she that night?
She was at my auntie's house.
At your aunt's house?
Yeah, overnight.
How come you drank so much? Make you
You
sick?
know, it was a surprise party, and we were just having a good time. I had 2 drinks. I'm not a drinker, so I had 2 drinks, and it was way past my limit. Way past.
You feel as if you owe any responsibility for this accident at all?
No. There were designated drivers there. Her services were not
And I
needed.
had designated drivers
Now,
there.
did you have, what's your last name?
I'm Smith.
Ms. Smith, did you have a conversation personally with Miss Thomas about providing a driver to drive the car home?
No, ma'am.
So you did not?
No, I did not know Miss Thomas. What I knew
Did
I
you
had
know?
a designated driver.
That's not my question. My question was, you did not have any discussion with Miss Thomas?
No, ma'am.
About
No, ma'am.
providing a driver to go home?
No, ma'am.
And according to Miss Jones, she was dead drunk in the front seat of the car.
Yes.
So you have Miss Jones, who may know that you had a designated driver.
Right.
But she's totally incoherent.
Right.
And Miss Thomas doesn't know, according to you, about designated drivers because you never had a conversation with her.
Right.
Thank you. Sit down. You were wrong to drive a car without a license, whether she gave you permission to or not. You were wrong. You don't know whether you gave her permission to drive the car because you were drunk. And it is very possible that she got into the car and she said, "You ready to go? Let's go." And you said, "Yeah, let's go." That's possible. You can't tell me it's not possible because you don't remember because you were drunk.
Okay, can I just say one thing?
Mm-hmm.
She claims that she was waking me up all this time. I should have been woke.
Waking
me up.
I never
can
said
I
I
drive
woke
your
you
car?
up. Just a minute.
Can I go and make another stop on 55th San Pedro, which is 2 miles away from my house?
People who want to act responsibly are not supposed to put themselves in a position where they're so inebriated that they don't remember what happened.
Okay.
That's what you did.
All right.
Now, Miss Thomas didn't know that there was a designated driver.
Okay.
According to your witness, she is partially responsible for what happened to this car. Absolutely. You are, and if you think you're not, you're nuts. Because you were driving without a license, you had something to drink that night, and in addition to that, whether you say this car came out of nowhere, you had a stop sign. So you're wrong. When you have a stop sign and the car is coming out, you didn't see lights, you didn't see anything. That's not the car's
I
problem.
stopped at
That's
the
your
stop sign.
You
So,
may have listen. Stopping at the stop sign does not relieve you of responsibility, Miss Thomas.
Well,
You're
I
not
did
supposed.
not-
Speaking. You're not only supposed to stop at the stop sign. You're supposed to stop at the stop sign until it is totally clear for
It
you
was
to go.
clear for me
Pay
to go.
attention. It wasn't clear for you to go because the car didn't drop out of the sky. The car came from someplace. You may not have seen it, but the car had the right of way and you did not.
Okay.
If the car hit you in the middle of the intersection, the car had the right of way and your car either jumped the stop sign or didn't stop long enough for you to see that there was a car coming in the intersection where that car had the right of way. So you are at least partially responsible. Now, did you have a deductible on this car?
No.
She had
you
no
had insurance?
No.
How did she know?
Just a minute.
I had liability insurance.
You
No,
did.
you didn't. I couldn't find, because I was drunk, I couldn't find my registration or insurance. Even I had liability. It wouldn't
We
do
had
us
no
no good
insurance
because
at
we
all.
got hit.
No insurance
How
at
does
all.
she know?
Neither
Listen to
party
me
had
carefully. Did you? What year car is this?
87 Bonneville.
It's an 87. So you probably didn't have collision insurance.
I didn't have full coverage.
You didn't have. All right. Now let me see the bill for the car.
Oh. The bill. This is a promissory note, because she pulled 2 knives on me, mind you. 2 big butcher knives. Talking about she was going to kill me.
Did I just pull the knife?
2 big knives.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This was going months
Pay
and months.
careful attention to me. Put your hand down. You talk, I'm talking.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kaikisha Jones says former friend Tanya Thomas drove her car without permission and wrecked it.
This makes it easy. Is this a promissory note that you're offering into evidence?
No.
Madam, pay attention.
Okay, this is a note that when the police came, they made her write this note. I didn't ask for them to write this note, but they tried to resolve it, and they said
This was
to take
May
her.
8th. The accident was on April 15th.
This was going months and months.
Pay careful attention to me. Put your hand down. Are these your 2 signatures on this?
Yes.
Is this your signature on this?
Yes.
And this says on May 5th at 9:30, I, Tonya Thomas, gave Keisha Jones $100. I will be willing to give Leisha another $100 on June 5th, 2000. Now, is that for the accident?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this was just, you know, month by month or whatever, because she owes me $11.80.
For what?
But I needed another transmission for my car. The way we was hit, my car spun around and the transmission busted.
So is what you're telling me that this other $100 she was supposed to give you was not in full satisfaction of what you thought she owed you?
No.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, madam, exactly how much it was to fix your car.
$11.80.
Now, I see $206 and $350.
Here's the, estimate that the mechanic gave me, which is another transmission.
I don't have, I'm not dealing with that. I have this estimate here, right here.
That's a receipt.
$206 and $350. What was paid for so far was $350, which is all you paid so far.
Yes.
Where is the car now?
I parked at my dad's house because I had to take it out the shop. I didn't have enough money to get the transmission.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All you paid for the car thus far, and the only estimate that you have.
This is the estimate.
Let me see that card.
I mean, he said he, you know, it got his card and it has the amount for a used transmission. I'm not trying to get over on her. I just want what's rightfully mine. That's exactly what he gave me.
Your Honor.
What?
She have my belongings that she had at the club. I have about $225 worth of belongings that was left at her cousin's house that I got dressed at.
Listen to me.
That I got dressed at.
Miss Thomas! You gave her $100 so far?
Yes.
Between what it cost, which she paid for, which was $350. Cost of a transmission is $450. That's for used transmissions. Does that sound right to you, Bird?
Sounds about right.
Then you have $250 for labor. She gave you $100. That's $950.
Okay.
And I find that you are 50% responsible for what happened that night. You placed yourself in a position where you could not responsibly get home. Put your hand down. You talk, I'm talking. You placed yourself in a position where you could not get home that night. I find that, right or wrong, since you don't remember, I take her for her word that she got your consent even your drunken consent, to drive the car home. She had no license, she had no right to be in the car, and she did, in fact, either run a stop sign or did not stop sufficiently to see another car coming. So both of you are responsible. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $475. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
37-year-old Michelle Vose and her son, 17-year-old Chris Walsh, are suing Tacey Ray, Dan Whitfield, Zach McCormick, and Edward Powell. Chris claims the 14s vandalized his truck during a drunken rampage.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 233 on the calendar in the matter of Vose versus Ray, Whitfield, McCormack, and Powell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Who's Powell? Me. Stand over there. Who's McCormick?
Right here.
Ray. You may stay. Whitfield.
Me.
It was your truck.
Yeah. Yes.
You didn't see what happened to it. You just saw the aftermath.
Yes.
And you didn't witness what happened to it, Mrs. Voss. Is that correct?
That's correct. I only heard it.
It is your claim, however, that these 4 young people, while in a state of drunken intoxication, decided to use your son's truck for baseball practice, whatever, totally destroying it. There was one other person allegedly involved who, according to your complaint, has in fact made some restitution to you for the damage.
That's
Is that right?
correct.
How much did you receive from this Russell person?
$240.
And what was the full extent of the damage to the truck?
$1,199.45.
Okay. So let's start out. You are in your home. It's the 24th of April. It's in the evening.
Correct.
And what did you hear?
I was sleeping and I was awakened to a bunch of just noise. At the time, I thought it was garbage cans or street signs, people banging on it. Got up, went into the kitchen, and kind of went outside on the front porch. At that time, I saw some children. It was dark. I couldn't identify them. Further down the street at what I thought was knocking over a garbage can. I saw 3 children at that time pass by, 2 on one bicycle and 1 running behind.
When you say children, you mean little children?
No, I'm sorry. Teenage children.
Male or female?
I could not identify them.
Go ahead.
I went out to retrieve the garbage can. When I got to the bottom of the steps, that's when I heard somebody yell to kick the truck. So knowing my son's truck was parked down the street, I went into the street. And it's that time I saw my son's truck out of the assigned parking spot, actually pushed out and turned in the street so that I can see it at the end of the road. And there was just banging on it. I couldn't tell how many were around it because it was sideways in front of me. I don't know who was behind it, but I could hear that same noise that woke me up. So I yelled at them to get away from the truck, and they fled.
How many people did you see fleeing?
The light, it was dark. I really, honestly could not tell you.
Was it more than 1?
Yes, and probably more than 2. I can honestly say more than 2.
Did you go down to inspect the truck?
At that point, I yelled for them to get away as I was running towards the truck, and then I went back to call the sheriff.
So you didn't go to the truck, you didn't go anywhere near there?
No, it was dark.
That's smart. And you waited for the sheriff in your home?
At that point, I woke my husband up. He went down to the truck, and we waited for the sheriff at the time.
And you went with him?
Yes.
What did you see when you got down there?
Just the truck in the middle of the road with the window broken. At that point, it was dark. It was hard to see how much body damage was done.
What time of the evening was this?
It was after midnight. I believe it was approximately midnight when I called the sheriff. My son came home. He was not home at the time. He arrived when the sheriff arrived. And then he called some of his friends to let them know what happened to the truck. And they all kind of slowly came over in groups. And they also started walking around the complex to see if they can find any types of signs of who possibly could have done the damage.
What makes you believe it was any of these 4 people involved?
My son came across 2 of the defendants.
Which 2?
It was Russell and Tacey and Ed.
So you came across Russell, Miss Ray, and Mr. Powell.
Yes.
No, and what?
Right here.
You're McCormick?
Yes.
Change places with him. Stop confusing me. And what happened when you came across these 2 and Russell?
I told my mom that they're here, that they're around my truck, they're around our house, so my mom called the cops.
What do you mean they were around your truck?
They were, no, not around the truck, but with us. They hung out with us for a while, and we kept them there until the cops came.
What made you think that they had anything to do with your truck?
Because they were telling us that they bashed in some truck.
They were telling who?
Me and my friends that they were drunk and there were cops were out looking for them.
Who said that they had bashed in a truck?
Casey.
Miss Ray. You heard Miss Ray say they were drunk and they had bashed in a truck?
Not me, my friends told me.
You can't tell me what your friends told you.
No.
So you waited until the police arrived? You called the police?
Mm-hmm.
Were you there when the police came?
Yeah, but then...
What happened when the police came?
They told me to go inside, and then they handled it.
Did you speak to the police, Miss Ray?
Yes, I did.
What did you tell them?
I said that we were all drunk, me, Russell, and Edward, and I said that Russell had messed up the truck.
So you put it all on Russell?
Yeah.
Was Russell there?
Yes, he was, but he did not harm the truck.
Did you just tell me you told the police that Russell messed up the truck?
Yes.
So you lied to the police?
Yes, I did.
Why did you lie to the police?
Because I was drunk and they were hammering me with all these questions and they wouldn't let me say I don't know. They had to give names or else they wouldn't have let me go on. And so that was the first name that came to mind because I looked over at him and I said Russell. Because it was the easiest way to get me out of the situation.
What were you all doing out there drunk?
It was just a Friday night. And
Friday night drunk. I never put that down on my calendar. Now, Miss Ray, we do know about this truck, however.
Yeah.
Right. You were there when this truck was pushed out into the street, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Are you telling me that you did not see this truck pushed out into the street and damage caused to the truck?
We were not there at that time.
You were not there. So you just told the police a big fat lie.
Yes, I did.
Now, when you told the police a big lie, did you tell them just the way you're telling me now?
Yes, I did.
In the same directness?
Yes.
Were you still intoxicated at that time?
Yes, I was.
What had you had to drink that night?
I had a beer and some shots of 50-50, I think.
And when did you stop drinking?
I couldn't tell you. I don't really remember.
Where did you have shots of 50-50?
At this old abandoned house down the road.
How old are you?
14.
How many people were at this old abandoned house?
It was all of us and Russell.
Is that the first Friday night that you had gone to that house?
Yes, it has.
When you say yes, it was, are you saying that with the same conviction and with the same straight face as you told the police that it was Russell that had caused the damage?
Yeah.
No, that was...
Shh, I'm not... Do I look at you? Are you saying it with the same conviction?
Conviction.
With the same honesty?
Oh, no.
So when you told the police you had a dishonest look on your face?
Yes.
As if you were telling them a lie?
Yes. As if
All
I
right,
were
just a second. I'm not finished with you yet.
Judge Judy continues. Votes say teenagers Tacey Ray, Dan Whitfield, Zach McCormick, and Edward Powell vandalized his truck. The teens say they didn't do it.
So based upon your lie to the police that you indicate to me, Miss Ray, you were drunk and you had the look on your face of someone who was making up a story, right?
Yes.
The police took Russell into custody.
Yes.
Now, when you saw that they were taking Russell into custody, did you see them put Russell in handcuffs?
Yes, ma'am, I think so.
Did you see him being placed in a patrol car?
Yes, I did.
Was he placed in the front seat or the rear seat?
The rear.
Was there another police officer with him in the rear seat?
No, there wasn't.
How many police officers were in the front seat?
There was none. They were still out questioning us.
When they concluded questioning, how many police officers got into the police car?
I'm pretty sure one of them did.
And the other one stayed out, still talking to you?
Yes, they were bringing me and Ed. They were taking care of us.
What do you mean they were taking care of you?
Because they caught us being drunk in public.
Oh. Now, I must tell you, Miss Ray, you tell a very cogent story. Your memory seems to be very, very precise with every detail about something that happened 6 months ago for somebody who was really terribly intoxicated that night. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do.
Good. Now, Russell was in fact arrested on this charge. Is that correct?
I couldn't tell you if he was arrested.
Well, let's try, because Russell must have contacted you at some time after Russell sobered up and said to you, why did you put the blame on me for something that I had nothing to do with?
Yes, he did. He called me.
Of course he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. Did you say to him, what happened, Russell?
Yeah.
Did he tell you he was arrested?
Yes.
Did he tell you he was charged with vandalism?
Well, like, yeah, a month ago, when they first gave us the charges, we all knew.
Did Russell plead guilty to vandalism?
Yes, he did.
Interesting. Now, I assume Russell was sober at the time that he pled guilty to vandalism. Judges usually do not accept guilty pleas from intoxicated defendants. So you mean you made up this story about Russell?
And
since
everyone
you were,
else.
just a second. I'm not finished with you yet, Miss Ray. So you made up the story out of whole cloth about Russell, that he was the one who damaged the truck. And Russell decided to plead guilty to damaging the truck, even though it wasn't him. That's what you said. Russell didn't do anything, but I just looked over to him, and he was there. I saw him, and I decided to say it was Russell. That's what you told me a minute ago. So now Russell decides to go along with your fictitious story, plead guilty to vandalism, and pay restitution. Is that where we're at? You understand what I'm saying to you? Good! Don't ever think you can get over on me, ever. Now we're going to start all over again. Now we're going to start with Mr. Powell. What grade are you in school?
I graduated last year.
Mr. McCormick,
Yes.
how old are you?
18.
Who bought the 50-50 junk? I need an answer. There were only the four of you and old Russell. Who brought the booze?
Tell you the truth, Honor.
Don't listen to me. Don't start out by saying to me, I'll tell you the truth. Give me an answer. Who brought the booze?
I don't know.
Let's go back to Miss Ray. Was Mr. Powell with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
Was Mr. McCormick with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
Was Mr. Whitfield with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
Was Russell with you that evening?
Yes, he was.
You were all together?
Yes.
What time did you arrive at the old abandoned house?
About 4 p.m.
I didn't ask you a thing. What time did you arrive at the old abandoned house?
4:30.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
From 4:30 in the afternoon until 11:30 that evening, did you remain in the house?
Yes.
And while you were there, did you consume anything other than the alcohol?
We had some marijuana.
So the five of you were together in the house for approximately 6 hours consuming alcohol and marijuana. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there came a time when you left.
Yes.
Who left first?
Zach McCormick, Ed Powell, and Dan Whitfield.
Where did they go?
They went to a friend's house.
What time did they return?
I couldn't tell you, somewhere around dark.
It was dark then. It was midnight.
Well, then I guess midnight, after the truck had already been pulling out and everything.
After the truck? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So that left you, Miss Ray, and old Mr. Russell at the house, right? Now, did you stay at the house?
No, we did not.
Where did you go?
We went back to my house.
But there did come a point where at some period of time around midnight that you all hooked up again.
Yes.
And you all hooked up again somewhere around where this truck was.
Yes.
And that's when you told the police that it was old Russell who did damage to the truck.
Yes.
Because you just wanted to get him off your back. Is that right?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You having a good time?
I am.
Okay.
Aren't you?
I'm having a good time.
I eat morons like you up for breakfast. Stupid.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stacey Ray, Dan Whitfield, Zach McCormick, and Edward Powell deny the charge of vandalizing Chris Walsh's truck. Chris has brought a surprise witness who says they did it.
Now, Mr. Powell.
Yes.
If I were to ask you the same questions that I asked Miss Ray, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick, if I were to ask you same questions, would your answers be the same as Miss Ray's?
Similar.
In what respect dissimilar, sir?
Everything's the same except the part where she says that, actually, it's been quite a while. It's almost been 7 months, Your Honor.
So just say, I don't remember.
I don't remember. It's
Good.
about the same.
Then just say nothing else. Now, Mr. Whitfield, if I were to ask you the same questions as I posed to Miss Ray, would your answers be similar or dissimilar?
Similar, yeah, except the weed part.
Except the what?
Except the marijuana.
You denied that there was any marijuana smoked in the old house.
I don't deny that. I'm just saying that that wasn't a part of my routine.
Your routine was only drinking.
I was just there drinking, having fun.
So you did not partake in the marijuana.
No.
But there was marijuana there.
Yeah.
Who brought it?
Don't really remember. It was just chilling.
Nobody remembers. Nobody remembers how the marijuana got there, and nobody remembers how the booze got there. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, you are telling me the truth, are you not, Mr. Whitfield, that you do not remember who brought the marijuana?
Yes.
Is that as truthful, sir, as all the other statements that you made today?
Yes.
Now, Miss Ray, do you recall who brought the marijuana?
Yes, I did.
Honest. Now, Mr. McCormick, do you recall who brought the alcohol?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Is that answer as honest as all the other answers you've given me today?
Yes, it is.
This was so easy.
You having a good time?
I am.
Okay.
Aren't you?
I'm having a good time.
You should have read the answers that they wrote. Mr. Powell, do you recall who brought the alcohol?
No, I don't.
Is that answer as honest as all the other answers you gave me today?
Yes.
Your Honor, I also have another witness that actually spoke. That was one of my son's friends that was there when they confessed that they did
Oh,
that.
I would love to hear that witness. It would make me feel only slightly better. Would you bring in a witness name? Would you give him the name?
Christy Gashel.
Christy Gashel.
I understand that you have information regarding an incident that occurred on the 24th of April of this year involving damage to the Voss truck.
Yes.
What information do you have?
I was at my friend David's house when he got a call from Chris, and Chris told David that someone just beat in his truck. So me, David, and my friend Jennifer went over to Chris's house, and we walked around and we were looking for the people that did it. And Tacey Ray came over. She jumped out of the bushes and told me that she and her friends just beat in a truck. And my friend Jennifer went and told Michelle that we have some people. So.
Did you have any other conversation with Miss Ray other than the fact that she says that she and some of her friends beat in the truck?
No, and she told me that if the cops asked, she was with me the whole night.
So she asked you to be her alibi?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Listen, you four people made my job so easy. I haven't had that good a time cross-examination in about 4 years. I read your answers. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I was someplace else. I was in Canada. I was on the Mir space station. I don't know. I didn't have anything to do with it. Nothing, 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 nothing. The damage to your truck, the difference is $959. Maybe the four of you have parents who you think are stupid. And maybe some of you have been before the criminal justice system previously and have found other members of the criminal justice system stupid. I eat morons like you up for breakfast. Judgment is entered for the plaintiff to be divided by 4. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Ms. Campbell is suing her boyfriend's daughter, 19-year-old student Leslie Fisher, and her husband, Michael Fisher. Rose says Leslie trashed her home while she was on vacation. The Fishers are countersuing for harassment and defamation of character.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Now, this is case number 267 on the calendar in the matter of Campbell versus Fisher. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Campbell, you live with the defendant, Mrs. Fisher's father.
Correct.
And you've been together for how long?
Approximately 6 years.
And sometime the early part of this year, you and your boyfriend were going on vacation or holiday, and she was going to stay home and take care of not only the home, but a whole bunch of animals that you have.
Correct.
You were gone for several weeks.
Correct.
She did not do what she was supposed to do. She left the house unattended, left the animals unattended, as a result of which the house was pretty much destroyed. That's what you're suing for.
Correct.
You were subsequently married.
Yes.
This is your husband.
Yes.
You have a cross complaint, and your cross complaint is for some sort of harassment. Okay. When did Mrs. Fisher move in with you?
Approximately 3 years ago.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how old were you when you moved in?
I was about 16.
Where had you lived before?
In Arkansas with my grandfather.
So you moved back and lived with your dad and his girlfriend?
Yes.
And how long did you plan on being away?
4 weeks. Items I sell, and I'm a vendor at craft fairs and craft shows.
Did you have an arrangement with her with regard to caring for the animals when you were away?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to her and what did she say to you?
The conversation was between her and her boyfriend, Michael Fisher, at the time. They agreed to take care of the animals. He agreed to take her to and from work and to and from school because she was still in high school. They assured me that everything would be fine as it had been before.
And you had no concerns?
No.
When did you have an inkling that something wasn't right?
We couldn't reach them for several weeks. I mean, several weeks. Come 5 weeks later, she called us when we were on location at a market and informed us that she had moved out sometime right after we had left to go out of town.
Had you had any indication that she was moving out?
No, Your Honor.
What kind of animals do you have?
I raise hybrid wolves. I have 2 hybrid wolves at this time, 2 cats, and a parrot.
So 5 animals altogether?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
When did you know that something was wrong with the animals? Did she tell you she was taking care of the animals?
She was pretty evasive to me, and I was very, very, very upset. We then called, myself and her father called John McNeely, who is a close friend of us, our family, to go and check on the animals and on my home. He then went over immediately and informed us that we needed to get home immediately, that the animals were not in good shape at all, and the house was totally trashed.
Did you come right home?
It took us 2 days. We're in the midst of having engine problems with our motorhome. Our motorhome is still in Georgia at this time because we had to drop everything, buy another vehicle, and come straight home. We were home within a day and a half.
What did you find when you got home?
My house was totally trashed, birdseed everywhere. Cat urine and feces had not been picked up or cleaned up all through the home. The backyard was totally trashed from where the animals had tried to get in the home because my dogs have never been outside all night, never. And they had been left outside for long, long periods of time. The inside of the house was, I mean, my furniture was broken. There was a multitude of things missing. My walls were dented and scratched. I couldn't, it was totally unbelievable.
Did you take any photographs?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Can I see them?
Sure. I have at the very end what the house looks like now and also what the house, what the dogs look like now. And I understand that they're not very good pictures. I'm an amateur at that. It was just something I thought I needed to do.
When you came home, was the house locked up?
Yes, it was.
What items did you find missing?
The dressers, there was 3 dressers that were in Leslie's room. They were missing. They were returned, and that was the condition they were returned in the photos. There was $250.
Who returned them?
They did, on police order.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you take the dressers?
They were mine.
But the police told you to return them?
Yes.
What else was missing?
$250 cash out of my safe deposit box, along with her Social Security card, her prescription for her contacts and glasses, her title to her car.
That was all in your safe deposit
Yes,
box?
yes, Your Honor. Jewelry, clothing, bedding, food.
All right, let's talk about the safety deposit box. You went into the safety deposit box to get all
I went
your
in and
stuff
got my stuff when they asked me to get the papers for their motorhome. That's the only time I went in with it, into it. Title to my car was in a manila envelope, sort of like this, that was in my room. It was never in their box.
Social Security card?
It was, yes.
Where was that?
It was in their box.
Did you take it?
Yes. Mike was there, and so was John.
Who's Mike?
My husband.
Who's John?
My witness.
Step up, please. John, what's your last name?
McNeely.
Tell me about the circumstances surrounding you going into the safety deposit.
Rose and Leon had called me when their motorhome broke down and asked me to go over and help Leslie and Michael try to find the warranty papers for the engine.
You actually went into the safety deposit box with them?
No, I was looking through the papers that Leslie had already pulled out, had them on the counter, seeing what she had, making sure that they were the right papers, and going through, getting phone numbers and stuff to call Rose and Leon with to give them for the warranty for the motor.
Were you still living in the house at the time that you went through the safety deposit box?
Yes, I was.
When did you leave?
I completely moved out the day, what was it, the day before they came home? Because we
But
had
you weren't
3
staying
cats.
in the house.
We had 3 cats, and when I finally completely moved all my stuff out, I took
Mrs.
my
Fisher,
cat and bought stuff.
we're not going to play games with each other. I'm not talking about completely moving out. When did you cease living there on a full-time basis?
What day was that?
Don't ask him. How much after they left
think
did
it
you
was probably
start
a week.
living with your now husband?
I think it was probably a week.
And you had some stuff that you left there, so you would go back periodically.
No, I would take care of the animals too.
Periodically?
No, every day.
Okay. Well, the devastation that I saw, for instance, around the parrot's cage, let's talk about that, and the kitty litter boxes, that's more than a day's worth of cleanup.
What do you... To clean the litter boxes, she did that once a week. She told me you have to do it once a week. Clean 2 litter boxes. It was in my room.
He wasn't living there in the house with
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so
no.
your arrangement
He was not
with
allowed
him.
to be in the home and only at certain times because I was trying to keep Leslie from doing something that she might be sorry for. He's 30 years old, Your Honor.
He's 29.
She was 18 at the time, Your Honor. I feel that this is just a stab in my back. I brought a child up, tried to give her a good home. I
Then
did
why did you
everything
treat me
for
so
you,
bad?
Leslie.
Listen. We don't do that here.
Judge Judy continues. Rose Campbell says Leslie Fisher was left to watch her home while she was on vacation. Rose says Leslie abandoned her home and her animals. Leslie and her husband are countersuing for harassment and defamation of character.
Miss Fisher, can you tell me why you chose to wait until after they left?
Because I know they'd put me...
To move out. Why?
Because I know they'd do this to me. They wouldn't let me move out because I tried to move out more than once.
So it was your plan to move out. Is that right?
Yes, and they knew it.
No, don't tell me that they knew it. They wouldn't have known that you were going to move out.
They didn't know
and
the
leave,
exact.
And leave all their animals unattended. So this was your plan. And this was your plan with your husband?
Yes.
And when did you formulate this plan?
We talked about it for a few weeks.
Before they left?
Yeah.
So you weren't honest with Miss Campbell or your father when you said that you would be living in the house all the time and taking care of the animals.
They didn't ask me to live in the house. It was just sort of like telling me to do everything.
But you had been living in the house
Yeah, I
full
had
time
been.
and taking care of the pets when they went on
Because
this
I
trip.
had to. They didn't ask me. We didn't, write down papers saying that they would pay me or we had an agreement or anything.
Miss Fisher, let me ask you this question. You moved in when you were 16.
Yes.
Were you working?
Not when I was 16, no.
Were you working when you were 17?
Yes.
Full-time or part-time?
Part-time because I had to go to school full-time.
You lived in the house. They paid all the expenses, right? And you had certain chores to do.
Yes.
Does that sound unreasonable to you?
Not then.
Well, then you turned 18. When did you meet him?
I knew him when I first moved up to Ohio.
When you were 16?
Yes.
And how old was he?
He was 26.
Okay. Mr. Fisher, what kind of work do you do, sir?
Body man, I fix cars. Frame.
Is that your own business?
No.
You work for somebody else?
Yes, I do.
You're working on the books, of course.
I should be.
But you're not.
He better be paying me on the books.
Well, you would know, Mr. Fisher, whether you're being paid on the books. Either you get a check that says this is how much they take out for taxes and Social Security, or they don't take out for taxes and Social Security. So you paid on the books or off the books?
The boss told me he was going to be paying me on the books,
He should be paying me on the books. If he is or isn't, I don't know. I do not want to take a check from the man because the checks will bounce.
So you paid in cash?
I tell him to give me $400 cash and take care of the taxes for it.
Miss Fisher, there's some indication in these papers that you were charged with animal cruelty or animal abandonment. Is that right?
Yes. I've got a misdemeanor for it, yes.
So you were convicted?
Well, it was the easiest way to get out of the court case, yeah.
So you were convicted?
Yes.
And you pled guilty?
No contest. Same as guilty, yes.
So that there really is no issue as to whether you abandoned these animals, because the burden of proof here is much less than in a criminal proceeding. The only issue is one of damages. Now, what were the damages to your animal?
Well over $4,000, Your Honor, but I'm not claiming that because I feel that some of it was done previous to her doing what she did to me. I'm claiming $1,800 to repair the couch, to change the door locks because they did get keys made for my doors, and my doors, cleaning the walls, repairing the walls, the carpeting, the vet bill.
How much was the vet bill?
The vet bill was over $380.
All right, tell me about your counterclaim.
They harassed us. She harassed us on the phone.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, we've got the tape right here if you'd like to listen to it.
Leslie, this is Rosie. I just wanted you to know that if I don't have you face to face and you're not woman enough to come and talk to me about what has gone on, not only am I going to prosecute you, but I'm also going and headed to the school with 2 documents. One to Mr. to inform him that you aren't living in the Meta school district anymore, and you'll have to go to night school to finish. And I think Mikey is going to have some problems also. The only way that we can remedy this, Leslie, one is I don't want you to come back. You are not welcome in my house after you come here once. Just to tell me where my stuff is, why you left it, why you did what you did to these animals. That's all I have to say to you. Not only have you broken my heart, you also have broken all of my trust. Obviously, you have no one now. You have not me, not my family. My daughter's on her way over here to calm me down. You don't have anybody in your family. You have your sister whom you are just like. Only thing is, she was with him a little longer than 3 months. Also, you have nobody. You have nobody now. Well, kid, you got a long and hard road to work. I hope you make it.
You have anything else you want me to listen to?
We have a videotape of our wedding right after. There were still people there from the ceremony, and my dad, and we know John was there, but we're not sure if Rosie was in the van. They came and harassed us.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's into the vending business, basically I consider a carny, and she...
I beg your pardon.
It's my own personal opinion, so please.
Listen, your judgment's so lousy so far, I'm not interested in your opinion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rose Campbell says Leslie Fisher owes her for a trashed home and neglecting her animals.
The tape is not harassment, madam.
She almost got me kicked out of school.
Let me tell you what she's saying to you. She's saying you lived in her home, she trusted you, and you violated their trust. It's clear to me that you violated their trust because you snuck around, waited until, with a plot, waited until they left. And then as soon as they left, you moved out. And you may have come back every few days to take care of the animals, to feed them, give them water, do whatever, but that's not what was anticipated. What was anticipated is that you would be living there. There's a difference between living there and going to feed the cat every couple of days. Miss Fisher, you and I know that. And I'm telling you something. That's not harassment on that tape. What that is hurt. Because what she really said was, I'm going to do all these things to you, none of which are illegal. But all I want you to do is come here and explain to me why you did this to me, why you did it the way you did it. Let me ask you this question, sir.
Huh.
You're older.
Yes.
You're supposed to be more responsible.
Yes.
Why did you encourage Miss Fisher to leave the house without letting them know?
I did not.
You didn't?
No, I told her straight out, point blank,
yes,
it's her choice. If she wants to move out, I ain't going to stop her. I ain't going to talk her into it. I ain't going to talk her out of it. It's her choice.
Just a second. Rose and Leon were going to be away for 2 months.
We were there every single day. We have a picture of her mailbox if you would like to take a look. See at it. She's got a small mailbox. She's into the vending business. Basically, I consider a carny. And she
I beg your pardon.
Miss Campbell, Miss Campbell.
I personally believe...
Miss Campbell, look at me. Please don't talk to him. Don't talk to him.
I'm a nurse, in-home nurse.
It's my own personal opinion, so please.
Well, I'm not interested. You listen, your judgment's so lousy so far. I'm not interested in your opinion. Say no more. Just tell me what happened at the wedding, please, so I can
Leon
finish.
and John showed up for sure.
I'm not interested in anybody else other than Miss Campbell.
Well, they showed up in Rose Campbell's van. I have no idea if Rose was actually in the van or not. It's hard to tell. Van has tinted windows.
So?
I have no idea if she was...
Well, I have no idea either.
I figured birds of a feather flock together. I figured Leon was probably in the van with Rosie and John. All three
disrespectful. Just a second. Miss Campbell, please, I told you, I don't want to say it again. I don't want you to speak to him. Miss Fisher, have you spoken to your father since all of this happened?
No.
And of course you haven't spoken to Miss Campbell.
That's right.
Are you a little sorry it happened?
If I knew all this was going to happen, I would have stayed.
Stayed where?
Arkansas.
Well, if you stayed in Arkansas, you wouldn't have met your husband.
That's better than all the hell they put me through.
Wouldn't have met Mike if you stayed in Arkansas. You may have good reason to cry.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Let's take care of the counterclaim first. The counterclaim is nonsense. And there is absolutely no evidence that she was involved in any harassment at your wedding, other than the fact that your husband thinks that birds of a feather flock together. Maybe he's right. There is no question that since Mrs. Fisher has been found guilty of abuse of animals, so there's no question that she did it. There is also no question that you cannot prove that they actually stole money out of your safety deposit box. But I really believe that since you filed your lawsuit against both,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you indicated to me that both of them were there when you had this conversation.
Correct,
Is that
Your
right?
Honor.
Yes.
He had a certain responsibility. He accepted that responsibility. He was also part of the plan, and he was the older member that was part of the plan, that they were certainly not going to fulfill this agreement, at least the way you anticipated it would be fulfilled. In any event, I am awarding you $1,000 judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Parties are excused.
Clean up
You may
the mess.
step up.
23-year-old receptionist Rebecca Olivencia is suing 25-year-old Stephanie Henry for damage to her car during a fight outside a men's prison.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 135 on the calendar in the matter of Olivencia versus Henry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Olivencia, it is your claim that the defendant, who you hardly knew if you knew at all, on 2 separate occasions assaulted you and attacked your car. For some reason you are only suing for the attack on your car. The defendant says it was you who assaulted her and her car, but you have no counterclaim. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, where did this happen the first time?
First time it happened on May 11th at the Worcester County jail.
At a jail. What were you doing there?
I went to go drop off my friend Janika at 6 o'clock, and I went to pick her up at 8.
What was she doing there?
She went to go see her boyfriend.
Had you ever seen the defendant before May 11th?
I've seen her like 2 times.
Did you ever speak to her?
Never.
Okay. So did this initial assault occur on the way going to the jail or when you went to pick up your friend?
When I went to go pick her up.
Who was with you?
My cousin Maria was with me and her daughter.
And now you can tell me what happened.
Okay, I was sitting in the car waiting for her, for Janika to come out. Stephanie Henry then comes out of the jail and approached me, started yelling, cursing at me. Anyways, I noticed she was getting hostile, so I turned on my car and I was going to turn around to go, and that's when she pulled my hair, started slapping me.
How did she pull your hair?
How did she pull my hair? From this side. She approached me. I was in my car.
And the window was open?
The window was open, yep.
So she came and she pulled your hair. What else?
I was sitting in the car, she pulled my hair,
And I tried to get her away from me. My cousin was screaming. The correctional officers came outside. They ran outside. They tried to separate us. At that point,
How did they try to separate you? Were you still in the car?
I was still in the car, yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, they tried to separate her because she was holding on to me. So then she runs to the car and kicks my headlight and breaks it. And they witnessed that. They banned us from being there ever again. And we just went home.
You have a report from them?
I have a report from the Worcester Police Department.
May I see it? What's this blackened out part?
Well, because they don't let me see what where she lives, or the police station did that.
This says that you talked about a group of males that surrounded your minivan.
That was afterwards.
Was that at a different location?
Different location.
Okay. Because I know there were 2 incidents. All right, so after she was separated from your car and she kicked your headlight in, did she leave or did you leave?
I left.
And your friend, did you wait for your friend?
She never came out.
All right, Miss Henry, you want to tell me about this incident?
Yes, Your Honor. I was coming out of the administration building like everybody has to do. You leave out of the administration building. I was standing there holding my 1-year-old son in my left hand, okay? I was waiting for my son's godfather to come pick me up. I was standing there. A woman walked by me. I did not have any cigarettes on me at the moment, so a woman handed me a cigarette. I was smoking a cigarette with my right hand and had my son in the left.
That's nice.
I noticed Miss Olivencia walk in the building. I noticed they came out and went into the car with another girl and a young child. Then I noticed she came out of the car and went back into the building. I don't know, I assume it was to look for Miss Cruz, but she went back in the building, she came back out, she got in the car. She proceeded to drive away. Okay, at this moment, I'm standing there smoking a cigarette, holding my son. I flick the ash on my cigarette. She reverses, does a 3-point turn, comes back, and says, "Excuse me, what was that?" A curse word. And I said, "Excuse me, I don't know you, and I have never met you before, and if I had something to say to you, I would address you and let you know. Therefore, I'm holding my son, drive away and have a nice day." I spoke to her nicely the first time. She started cursing at me, calling me these rude names, talking about she knows who I am, she knows where I live. I'm like, well, I have no idea who you are. I've never seen you before in my life. She then steps out of her automobile, comes over to me, approaches me with my child in my left hand, I remind you, and she's pointing in my face, and I'm like, you need to get in your car and drive away because I don't know you and I'm holding my son. And I don't play around like that with a baby in my hands. She kept cursing. She proceeded to get back in her automobile. As she was doing so, she grabbed my hair. I have a scratch right here. Unfortunately, Your Honor, I was unable to have my pictures developed to bring them here. For my evidence, I had a bruise on my knee, on my right knee, from the fact that when she had grabbed me by my hair and pulled me towards the car, my knee was hitting her door because she was pulling me. And of course, I'm going to defend myself with my child in my hands. And I'm going to try to get away because at this point, I didn't know if she was going to try to drive off while I'm holding my son. Okay? No correctional officers came out and broke anything up. She drove off after she let go of my hair. And she went to turn again, and as she turned again, because you can't go to a certain point and restrict the area, you have to turn back and go out of the parking lot. She turned again, she came at me to try to hit me with my child. So I'm defending myself, moving out of the way, and as I move out of the way, my foot kicked her blinker, the tail light. I have a report from the Worcester County House of Correction saying that she did not care about the blinker, she didn't want to press any charges at that time, and that was the end of that. And I remind you, Your Honor, she was saying that she knew where I lived and that she would be there. Okay?
Ms. Olivencia, you indicated to me that your friend here, who you had dropped off in the morning, did not come out. That's what you just indicated to me, correct?
I dropped her off in the evening, 6 o'clock.
Or in the evening, and then went back to pick her up, and you said she
did not come out.
Yep. Well, this report indicates that the one involved party was leaving in a gray Toyota, and the other party was standing in front of the administration building. I assume that was you.
Yes, ma'am.
Stop the gray Toyota. Is your car gray?
My car is like a tan.
What's your license plate number? That's the tag number. Bearing Massachusetts tags. and identified the operator as Rebecca Olivencia, that's you. A passenger in the vehicle was identified as Janika Cruz.
That is wrong, because my cousin was with me. And they took my cousin's ID. And they also know that Janika, yes, she did go
Just a
at 6
second.
o'clock.
Just a second. That's what the detective wrote, that the passenger in the car was identified as Janika Cruz. Step up here. Then he goes on to give me a whole story here about something about a boyfriend. Who were you there to visit?
I was visiting my boyfriend, my daughter's father.
What's his name?
Victor.
Do you know Victor?
He's a neighbor of mine.
Anything other than a neighbor?
No, well, he was. He can't remain in that building either.
Was he ever a boyfriend of yours?
No, Miss.
Was he ever a boyfriend?
No,
of
ma'am,
yours?
no, ma'am.
Did you ever go out with him?
No, ma'am.
But you know him?
Yep.
So the connection between the two of you is through her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Damage during a fight with Stephanie Henry. Stephanie says she kicked the car because Rebecca wouldn't let go of her hair.
You knew her from this person who was never your boyfriend, who you
No,
never
we know
dated.
each other from her boyfriend, which is now my ex-boyfriend.
Ah, well, so we have somebody else.
Which is her boyfriend or her fiance.
Who used to be your boyfriend?
Used to be my boyfriend about going on 3 years ago.
And did you like each other before this happened?
We didn't know each other. We met each other one time, and then from there we just couldn't get along. We fought when I was 6 months pregnant.
Who fought?
Me and Stephanie. From there we didn't get along, whatever.
Did you know about this fight that they had?
I had no idea about it.
How long have you known her?
I've known her for a couple of years now.
How long as a couple?
About 2-3 years.
And when was this fight while you were pregnant?
1999. No, year 2000. I was 6 months.
Before this incident happened in May?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you were friends, you mean she didn't tell you that she was assaulted?
No, because we're not always together. We're not
She didn't
best
tell you
friends.
that she was assaulted?
No. I never knew about it.
That's unusual. This also says, Miss Olivencia, that you told the detective there that you did not wish to pursue the matter any further and did not care about the broken headlight.
That is not true. I never even spoke to that detective, as a matter of fact.
Uh-huh. Olivencia states that she was attacked first by Henry, that's you, and didn't know who Henry was. She said that they just pulled each other's hair and exchanged words. Well, that's true. So there were a lot of things, according to you, that are wrong in here. Okay, now let's hear about the second assault.
Okay, the second assault happened after Janika asked me to go bring her to pick up her daughter.
Give me the date.
That was the same day. That was probably a half an hour later.
Okay.
I had told Janika, well, I don't know if I should go over there, but seeing that she's my friend and I was
Go
doing
over
her
where?
a favor, to Piedmont Street, which is where she lives and which is where her daughter was at the grandmother's house.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I get there, and Janika steps out of the car, and then she shows up, Stephanie shows up in a car full of guys, like 4 guys. They all jump out of the car. They start cursing at me to get out of the car. I lock my doors. I roll my windows up. I told Janika, get in the car because these people are getting crazy. Anyways, the guys are yelling at me, telling me to get out. It looked like they wanted to fight me. So then one of them puts on a bandana around his face. And the only thing showing was his eyes. And then he started like putting his hand in his pocket, like if he had some, like a gun or something. Anyways, my cousin started going nuts. She started screaming. She was making me nervous. I told Janika, get in the car. Janika wouldn't get in the car. She was trying to talk to them. And I just took off. When I was taking off, she ran to my car and she kicked the side of my door. And I rode right to the police station and I told them about it, and that's when I seen the damages that she did to the door.
I'll hear you.
Okay, Your Honor. Can I continue with the ending? Okay. Like I said, after she let go of my hand, she tried to hit me with my child. And she turned around and tried to go.
You told me that. You told me that you were protecting yourself and you kicked it in her taillight.
Yes,
However,
ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
And as she was driving off, like I said, her friend, the passenger, her cousin, she claims, threw a large amount of hair out the window and said, "Here's your hair." B, call me the B word, and drove off, okay? Then after that, one CO came over to me. He asked me for my identification, to look for warrants, to check our records and everything, and then they had pulled her over, and they were speaking with her down the street, okay? My son's godfather had came and picked me up with his friend, okay? And they brought me home, and by the time I got to my apartment building on Piedmont Street, Miss Cruz, Miss Olivencia, her cousin, and some black, I don't know who the black female was surrounded my neighbor, who is a friend of mine who also was going to be a witness, appeared here. They surrounded her with her 7-year-old son behind her.
Why, you saw this?
No, as we pulled up, we seen them, yes, and they all scrambled in the car.
You just want to tell me what you saw.
As we pulled up, we seen all 4 of the girls surrounded my friend, my neighbor, with her son with her, and as we pulled up, my son's godfather jumped out of the car and he said, "Who tried to attack Stephanie holding her son?" And I told him it was the driver, and he said, "Get out of the car. Why did you try to attack her holding the child?" We wanted to call the police and hold her there because she was at my place of residence, and Miss Cruz does not belong there either. I have no trespassing on her.
So according to you, somebody, one of your friends, went up to her and told her that she had no business being around your neighborhood.
Exactly.
Your block. And then what happened?
And there were 2 other neighbors that had came up from the neighborhood. There were 2 other neighbors that came up from the neighborhood. And Miss Olivencia was cursing at one of them, calling him stupid, and saying things to the person. And he got
and where
very
was
upset.
she sitting or standing? When
She was in her
calling
car with her window down a little.
Okay. Go
And
ahead.
she was telling him, shut up, he was stupid, cursing at him. And he was the one that damaged her car. I don't know who, he's a neighbor, he lives in the neighborhood. I don't know his last name. I spoke with Janika Cruz about this. She said she didn't want any involvement in this. I said, well, I don't know who they were, because she said that Mrs. Olivencia wanted it for her insurance company. And I said, well, I don't know who those 2 men were, because they were from the neighborhood. They were trying to help my witness, my other witness that was there, the girl that they surrounded that they tried to jump. They came out and they tried to stop them from jumping her.
Okay, she wasn't jumping anybody. She was in her car with the window rolled
Before
up.
she got into the car, Your Honor?
But then she was in the car.
Yes,
but then just listen to me. But then she was in the car. When she's in her car, she's not surrounding anybody.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Whatever you did to each other in that parking lot, or whether you started to pull her hair, you went to her house, and that was stupid.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rebecca Olivencia claims Stephanie Henry kicked her car during a fight outside of a men's prison.
You say you have a restraining order against her? Let me see it. So, Miss Cruz, there is a no trespass order against you for this housing complex.
Yes, there is.
So what were you doing there on May 11th?
She did that. I got that trespassing notice after the fact, and I called Stephanie back up, and she said, yes, I did it because of my boyfriend. Told her.
Just a second. When were you served with this notice?
I was served with that notice May 18th.
Afterwards?
Afterwards, after the fact.
You have any proof she was served with this notice before? It doesn't have a date on it.
No, Your Honor. They were waiting to serve that to her. They didn't know her location.
So they didn't serve it on her before May 11th?
No, they had it already for her.
Now, were either of you arrested as a result of these incidents?
No, ma'am.
No.
Did either of you file criminal complaints against the other?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I went right to the police station and I told
And
them
so
what
you
happened.
both did?
Yeah.
What happened with those cases?
We dismissed that.
Why?
All we did was pull hair and smack each other. That was it. I don't think we deserved to get a record over that.
And why did you dismiss it?
I have 3 children, Your Honor. It's very hard for me to go to court all the time with 3 children.
How old are your children?
7, 2, and 1-year-old.
Where is their father?
Mr. Wilfredo Ilaraza is incarcerated, and the other father I'm not with.
Can I see the damage for the taillight only, please?
Can I have the pictures of the other?
How many children do you have?
I have 1. I have the pictures of the other damage.
I'm not interested in the other damage.
Okay.
I have a feeling that both of you ladies deserve each other. You had no business being at her housing complex after this kind of incident.
true.
So whatever happened to you, you deserved. Do you understand? I mean, I'd like to throw you out entirely because it sounds to me as if you both behaved badly. But I find no excuse for you kicking her blinker.
Your Honor, I was trying to move away.
No, baloney. Full of baloney. Moving away. Then you move away.
as
Move
I was
away and
moving,
kick is something else.
She tried to hit me, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Move away. Walk to someplace safe when you
I
have your
went like
baby
this
in your
with my
hand.
son,
Yeah,
and
I
my
know.
foot hit her
I
brother.
understand. Believe me, madam. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Get out of here. Parts is $101. Body labor, $195.20. That you'll pay for yourself. Ridiculous. A, whatever you did to each other in that parking lot, you did to each other. Whether you started to pull her hair or she started to pull your hair, both acted like idiots. My problem is that after this altercation, you went to her house.
I didn't go to her house.
To her apartment complex. And that was stupid.
It was.
So if your car got damaged going to her apartment complex, you pay for it. You pay for your own stupidity. But I find that you had absolutely no reason to kick her car. I also find that this is an inflated estimate of repair. So I'm going to give you the cost of the parts, which is $101.26. You paid to have it fixed yourself. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff, $101.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue. Is suing her ex-boyfriend, Charles Reed, for the return of property she claims he stole. Charles is countersuing for money stolen from his bank account.
Order. All rise. This case is number 223 and 225 on the calendar in the matter of Ducey versus Reed and Kirk versus Reed. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to you, Miss Ducey, you and the defendant were living together.
Correct.
And you were living together in a rental property.
Right.
You are suing the defendant because you say he assaulted you, and that when you ultimately separated and he moved out, he took many of your belongings.
Everything.
Okay. On what day did he assault you?
July 2nd of this year.
And tell me about the incident that precipitated this assault.
Basically, we got into an argument over our car that we were sharing. We were sharing the payments 50-50 down the line.
What kind of an argument did you get in over the car?
I had a problem with me never having the car. I had to ask to borrow it. I still never had a car to work. He dropped me off every day. I never had a car. So that was what we were arguing about.
And where was this argument? Inside the house?
Yes.
Go ahead.
At point, I was going to leave with the car, and when I left, he locked me out the house and wouldn't let me in. I kept trying to turn the key. He was back there turning it back. So I broke a window to get in.
Okay, let me stop you there, Miss Ducey. You said you were going to leave with the car.
Right.
So why didn't you just leave?
I had forgotten my purse was in the house.
So you had to come back inside to get your purse.
Right. And when I hit the door was locked, bolted, and chained.
So you broke a window to get into the house?
Well, I did. Yes, I did. After trying to unlock it with my key.
You broke a window to get into the house?
The house that I was renting.
Well, you'd had an argument. Did you cut yourself?
Yes.
Badly?
A little. Right there.
And where did you go when you got into the house?
I went to the bathroom to wash off.
And what happened in the bathroom?
Still, as soon as I got in the house, we were arguing back and forth. I went to the bathroom to wash my hands. When I got in there, we were still arguing. At some point, he pushed me. I fell.
Just a minute, we're going to get to you.
I went up against the wall and I fell to the ground. And when I was down, he kicked me in my stomach.
That's the assault you're talking about?
That's the assault, one of the incidences, yes.
Well, what is the second assault?
The day after I came home and all of my things were gone, I called some friends over in fear that they would come back. So I had friends over. We all spent the night on the floor. And the next morning, we were awoken by him coming through the back door and trying to gather a few clothing articles that he did leave there. In doing that, I told him that I had nothing to wear. He took everything. So I wanted the pair of jeans he had so I could go to work. I had nothing. And he pushed me down. I have a witness.
Well, just a minute. When you say you wanted the pair of jeans, what did you do? Pick up his jeans? You were fighting over the jeans? That's what you were doing. You were holding your hand up. So
yeah,
you had his
I tried
jeans.
to...
He picked up his jeans.
Right.
And you grabbed hold of his jeans.
As he was coming down the hallway, things were falling.
He picked up his jeans. You took the other end of the jeans because you wanted to wear his jeans.
Yeah.
So you're fighting over these jeans.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
He pushed me and hit me in front of my friend and her 3-year-old daughter.
Where did he hit you?
In the leg. I had a bruise in the leg, but other than that, he just pushed me. There was no bruise from that.
Okay, and during these entire incidents, both on the 2nd and the 3rd of July,
No.
you never...
That was on July 12th. The 11th, he took my things. The 12th, he came back.
Well, what happened between July 2nd and July 12th? Were you living together?
Yes.
So you had made up?
No. Basically, through our relationship, we've broken up and gotten back together, broken up, got back together.
So between 7/2 and 7/12, you were both living in the house together?
Not talking, not speaking. We were still arguing. We weren't talking, but we were both living there.
After July 2nd, did you seek any medical treatment?
No.
After July 12th, did you seek any medical treatment?
No.
You indicated in your papers that you have a mother.
Yes.
And that at some point during one of these incidents, your mother did come to get you, or you went to your mother's house.
Right.
Why didn't you go to your mother's house after he assaulted you on the 2nd of July?
I did.
Why didn't you stay there?
All my things were, I mean, that was my house.
Well, that was your house, but he was there.
Right. When we had talked about he still wanted to live there and still pay half the rent, and not be together. This is what was coming out of his mouth.
Well, I understand that, but if you're afraid of somebody, you don't go back into the house and live with them, even if you're not speaking. Why would you do that? That's a foolish thing to do, especially when you have an option.
To tell the truth, I mean, as stupid as it sounds, I really didn't think that this was going to be a breakup.
What do you mean you didn't think it was going to be a
Like
breakup?
I said, throughout our relationship, we've broken up many times, all the time. I mean, many times break up, a day later, be fine.
So you were assuming, Miss Ducey, that this was going to be something that blew over.
That would get talked about, yeah.
And it didn't?
No. The next conversation about it, he was confirming that this was a breakup. And
so he told you that he was finished?
Right.
When did he tell you he was finished?
July 10th.
Now, those are the two assaults that you're talking about. Let's
Right.
deal with the assault part first. All right, Mr. Reed,
Yes,
let's go back to the 2nd of July.
Yes. It was a Sunday. Me and my cousin were planning on going fishing, which she knew. And every time I get ready to go out, she goes to the club all the time. Every time I get ready to go out, there's a big old argument. I have to go through this whole thing. She's too possessive and everything. So on July 2nd, I get ready to go fishing. I'm walking
How
down.
long were you going fishing for, sir?
From about 5 o'clock to about 1 or 2 in the morning.
Okay, but not overnight.
No.
So you're just
right
going
in-
out for the day,
Yeah,
but
just right
taking
in
the
Santa
car.
Monica. Yeah. It's my
Okay,
car,
so that
right.
was what you mean, that you were having an argument over the car.
Right.
Never
The
had
argument wasn't over the car, really. The argument was he was going fishing and taking the car.
No. See, what
It
he
wasn't
doesn't
even
say...
argument. Go ahead.
What he doesn't say is that every time I went out, I borrowed my boss's car.
It's not what I'm saying
I
to
never
you.
got
Miss
the car.
Ducey, listen to me. It's not what I'm saying to you. I'm saying to you, on that day, July 2nd, he said to you, I'm taking the car and going fishing.
The fishing wasn't the problem. The whole problem was me never having the car, because even the day before, I was stuck at home all the time with no transportation.
Miss Ducey, he said to you, I'm going fishing, I'm taking the car. Then there was an argument. You're not taking the car, I never have the car.
We did get in a little argument or whatever, and she was talking about, well, you always leave or whatever. I'm like, you go everywhere you want to go. I never get to go nowhere. The first time I get ready to go, there's an argument. So I go get in the car, whatever. She runs out the door. She stands behind the car like this so that I can't leave. And she stands behind the car. So I get out the car. She never was going to leave, to tell you the truth. She was never going to leave. She was sitting in the house watching TV.
Judge Judy continues. Katie Ducey says ex-boyfriend Charles Reed won't return property that's hers. Charles says Katie stole money from his bank account.
So what happened?
After she came outside and still behind the car, and she wouldn't let me leave, I get out the car. I go back in the house. I do lock the door. Since you want to be outside or whatever, I go in the house. I lock the door. I lock her out. You want to stay out there and argue? Go ahead. My neighbors are not coming out to look at me like no. So I go in the house, lock the door and everything. She comes up to the door. I'm like, well, you wanted to be outside the car, so you're staying out there. You wanted the car, whatever, you're staying out there. She got the key to the what's on. She can go through any one of the doors in the house, big old sliding door, whatever. She didn't want to come in. So I had the top piece on, whatever. She's all mad. So she gets in through the western and the chain piece is still on. And she's going, yeah, around in the door. I'm over at the back window waiting for her to come in because I already know she's going to come in and start throwing something or something. So she kicks the door and boom! Comes over to the we have like a little center thing. She takes a couple candle things off of there. She throws them at me. She throws the set of keys to the car at me. She throws the candle holder at me. That's the reason I broke up with her on July 2nd. She's lying about the 10th. I broke up with her on July 2nd.
Okay. Tell me about the pushing and shoving.
What pushing and shoving?
You're suing her because you say she assaulted you.
That's when she threw the keys and the candle stuff things at me when she came in the house on July 2nd.
Were you injured?
No, they hit me, but they didn't hurt me.
Okay. What happened? Did she leave or did you leave?
Matter of fact, I walked to my mom's house.
All right, so now you're at your mother's house.
Mm-hmm.
But there came a time when you came home.
Yep.
When did you come home?
July 2nd.
Did you share a bedroom that night?
No, we didn't.
Where did you sleep?
I slept in my bed, and she slept on her couch.
In the living room?
Yes.
On the couch? And you stayed in the house together until the 10th of July? Did you continue with that arrangement?
No, we didn't. July 4th, she was in there, well, I don't want to say what she was in there asking for, but she was in the room with me.
In the bedroom?
In the bedroom.
Okay, and did she have a discussion with you about making up?
No. She already knew it was over or whatever, but she was still trying to work on the relationship.
Well, that's what she said. She was hoping that it would work out.
Yeah.
Right. All right, now there came a point when you told her it's over and you decided to get your stuff out of the house, Mr. Reed. Is that right?
Yeah.
She says that you have some of her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any of her things?
Yes, I do.
What things do you have that belong to
I
her?
have a black leather couch, which I held because she withdrew on July 10th. She called my credit card in, my ATM card in stolen or lost. I went to go buy a pack of cigarettes in my ATM. I couldn't even get nothing.
So you're holding these things. Your counterclaim, sir, says that she withdrew money from your credit.
Off the credit card. What happened is she overdrew the account. We had a joint account. She overdrew it.
What date?
On 7/11, there's an, 7.
Let me see.
There's right here, the efficient fund here, and another one right there.
Did you take any money out of this Bank America card?
Yes, I did.
On 7/11?
Yep.
How much?
I think it was $800.
What'd you take it out for?
Dollars. Since I've had a joint account with him, I've always kept track of how much money he had in the bank and how much money I had in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at my register, you can tell that. And
I don't plan on looking at your register.
Okay, well, at the 7/10, the day before this Monday, his balance was $96. Before he could get a chance to go and take out money, I wanted to make sure he didn't take out more than, he always thinks he has more money in there. So I went and took out money. I went and took all the money out, and I paid him $95. I owe him $1.53 to be exact.
Where'd you pay me?
Just a second. You withdrew all the money from your joint account.
Right.
So that's why you kept the couch, sir.
Exactly why I took care.
Okay. Now, were you working, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing? What kind of work
I
were you
work in the city industry making powder paint.
And how much do you earn?
Before taxes, it's like $1,000 or something.
Every week? Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
And what kind of work do you do?
Home health care.
And how much do you earn?
$250 a week. $285 a week.
So he earns more than you do?
Yes.
And you were doing direct deposits into this account?
He was.
So his whole check went into the account?
Right.
So you got to the account first? Right.
Before
Okay.
the automatic deposit went in.
Well, he had been making automatic deposits since how long were you living together?
A year and a half there.
Okay, so during the time you were living together, his whole check was going into the account.
And yeah, so was my money.
Yeah, but he earned twice as much as you did.
All the things that we spent, I have everything marked that I've ever spent.
I don't plan on going through
Okay.
that, madam. That's what happens when you live together without benefit of marriage. He makes more money than you do. You opened up a joint account.
Mm-hmm.
He put in his entire check. You put in your entire check. And when you broke up, you got to the bank first. That's what happened. All right? And he took your couch.
As soon as I left her, she went straight to the bank.
Just a second. And he took your couch. and your other stuff. Because he says that's not fair. You got to the bank first. At
So
least.
how much does he say that I owe him?
I have no idea.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I mean, all this stuff adds up.
Miss Ducey, pay careful attention to me. I'm not going through your 4 pages.
For half of the bank account, he cleared out my whole entire life.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Katie Ducey says ex-boyfriend Charles Reed won't return property that's hers. Charles says Katie stole money from his bank account.
I'm going to tell you something. Courts don't waste their time going through a checkbook, check by check, for people who decide to live together.
True.
Rather than getting married, then you know. Whatever is left in the bank is joint property. Joint property gets split down the middle. Half is yours, half is his. We're finished. You have a couch. You take the value of the couch. You want the couch, you pay for the couch.
Right, I understand.
Fine. Good. What other property do you have that belongs to her?
Well, all I have is her couch and maybe like the living room, the end table, like things. That's about it. That's all. The only thing in the house that was hers.
Okay, what about her clothes?
I gave her her clothes and her TV. She came and didn't bring me anything but like my uniform that I go to work for and stuff.
He doesn't have just my couches.
My
He
truck
has
was full.
4 pages worth of my stuff. I had nothing. I have witnesses that when we came home, the whole house was trashed. We had to clean it all up. I have nothing. I'm talking underwear, tampons, shampoo,
Just a second.
conditioner,
He said he
everything.
returned your clothes to you. Are you telling me he did not?
No, he gave me half of my clothes.
So he gave you half of your clothes?
Half of my clothes.
What do you think he did with the other half of your clothes?
He told me he has everything else of mine in storage.
Do you have anything of apparel, clothes, clothing, shoes?
One shoe, one blue Nike that I didn't give her back that was into my box.
That now I have nothing. I have nothing. Absolutely. A refrigerator he took. He left everything out on the floor, on the...
What everything did he leave out on the floor?
The food, all the food. He took my refrigerator that I had before I met him. All the food was out.
Just a second. Just a second. Don't miss up anything, Mr. Reed. Do you have her refrigerator?
Yes, I do. I just
My
remember,
washer
yeah.
and dryer I just bought.
Just a second. Washer and dryer.
No, we have. We spent, as a matter of fact, the washer we got from a friend of mine for $50.
No, we didn't.
Oh yes, we did. And what happened is, I got to check her, and then she went and bought a new one, which it came right out of both our Western name. So that's half my washer and
Just
dryer.
a second. So what you're saying is you bought a washer and dryer out of your joint account? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Hey, look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the washer and dryer?
In my storage.
So that you have it.
Yes.
Well, if you have it, and that money came out of the joint account, sir,
Mm-hmm.
pay careful attention, half of the value of that is hers. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I've already bought new couches. I've already bought a new washer and dryer. I had to spend all my money to replace things. I didn't have a refrigerator. My
money.
food was spoiling. I had to buy a refrigerator. I didn't have any toilet paper, washer, soap. I
Listen
didn't have
to me.
a pair of shoes.
Listen to me. Courts don't waste their time on soap and dishwashing
I'm just trying
detergent.
to let you know
Listen
how
to me.
bad he was.
Listen to me.
I mean, all this stuff adds
Miss
up.
Ducey, pay careful attention to me. I'm not going through your 4 pages. Then you expect to waste the time of a court in figuring out your mess? You cleaned out the bank account, he cleaned out the house.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
There is no court for people who are testing the waters, but he is going to return the sofa, the end tables, the refrigerator,
anyway.
the washing machine, and you're going to give her $50 towards the dryer if you want to keep it. Do you understand? $408 belongs to Mr. Reed. That's half of what you emptied out of the joint account.
I gave him his balance that he had in a checkbook.
And what about the money that was overdrawn in their account?
Just a minute. Deal with it. Deal with it. Your counterclaim, sir, I am awarding you $408. As far as the assault is concerned, I find that there was a fight. I find there was a fight where both of you behaved badly. I don't believe that he kicked you in the stomach because I was
didn't
watching your
touch you.
face when you said kick me in the stomach, and the look on your face when you told that part of the story, I believe, was a fabrication. I do believe, however, he pushed you. He may have pushed you, he may have shoved you, whatever it was. After the second, you decided to stay home and work it out with him. It wasn't until after he left that you got furious and went in and emptied the bank account. So that's the way I've resolved your case. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy, 5-year-old retired dental technician Leroy Gaines, is suing his son and daughter-in-law, John and Cassandra Gaines. Leroy claims after opening 4 CDs on behalf of his grandchildren, John and Cassandra emptied the accounts.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 218 on the calendar in the matter of Gaines. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Gaines, the defendant is your son,
Yes,
and the co-defendant is your daughter-in-law.
right.
And they have 4 children.
Yes, they do.
Your 4 grandchildren.
Right.
According to your complaint, sir, in 1999, because you're a good grandpa, you decided to gift each of your grandchildren $500 and took out certificates of deposit in each of their names for their future.
Right.
And you had a conversation with your daughter-in-law about that?
Yes, I did.
And what did you tell your daughter-in-law?
I told my daughter-in-law that I was going to take out 4 CDs for each one of the grandchildren, and that I wanted to left in the bank, and when each one of them was 18 years old, they could do as they pleased with the money. And I told her that I was going to turn the CDs over to her so that she could reinvest them once every year when they matured. I never gave any permission.
Okay, just a second. So that's what you told her?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you originally opened these CDs, you were the custodian, sir?
Yes, I was.
There came a time when you changed that from you being the custodian to you being a co-custodian?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
did you
I did not turn custodianship over to anybody.
Do you have the paperwork from the bank?
I have 2. The other 2, I guess I throw them away.
Okay, but let me see what you have. Your lawsuit, Mr. Gaines, against the defendants, in particular your daughter-in-law, is that she withdrew the CDs for 3 of the children,
Yes.
and the 2 of them used that money,
Yes,
and you want that money back.
I do.
They have a counterclaim because they say that at some point, I assume after they withdrew the 3 of the CDs, you went and withdrew the money out of the one remaining one that they had not used. So their counterclaim is based on the fact that as parents of that one child, you took back that child's gift. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you do not deny that you took out the CDs for 3 of your children.
Not at all.
I'd like to see where you are custodians of the accounts of those 3 children.
Okay, when I went to the bank to sign a signature card, I didn't receive anything in the mail. The manager of the bank said that I had to subpoena the record. She was not cooperative at all.
Okay. So you don't have any proof that you were made the co-custodian, even though, Mr. Gaines, you say that you agreed for her to be the co-custodian.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, at various points, you went to the bank and withdrew this money. Did you withdraw it all at the same time or at different times?
At different times, Your
Over
Honor.
what period of time?
Over a period of approximately 3 weeks.
All right, let's hear about the first withdrawal.
The first withdrawal, Your Honor, was on May 18th.
And what did you use that money for?
Your Honor, my husband owns his own business. He's self-employed. I am a full-time mother. His business gets slow at times. He's a carpenter. And in the month of May, we fell on hard times and had a car payment due in the amount of $307.10. I need a vehicle for emergencies to drive my children around in. The remainder of the money went. Every Saturday is considered a family day for us. And we
By
take
who? Is that by federal law?
No, that's by our own morals.
So that's by your own morals that every
Right.
Saturday is family day. Okay,
Correct.
so tell me where the rest of the money went.
It went on an amusement park for our children the following Saturday.
Okay, so that's one. Let's
Correct.
go to the next withdrawal that you made.
That was the following week, May 26th, which was on a Friday. Now, in order for my husband to run his business, he has to advertise, and he had run up a bill for his advertisement for his job amounting over $200.
So?
That went on that. And then the remainder went on Chuck E. Cheese for our children and horse rides at Irvine Regional Park.
Okay, next?
The third and final CD was cashed in on June 5th.
Yes.
Now, our rent was due June 1st. However, There's a 5-day grace period. You have until the 5th. Otherwise, it's considered late. You have to pay a $50 late charge. The rent amounts $910. I had to cash in a CD to pay the rent.
Okay. Mr. Gaines, how long have you been a carpenter?
About 13 years.
So for the past 13 years, what have you done when business is slow?
Well, usually a couple months before we try and save up so that we can prepare for the times where it's going to be slow, so that we have some savings.
Good. Now, you were both fully aware of the fact that this money was to be used for your children.
Yes.
That this was, in fact, your children's money.
Yes.
So how dare you use this money to buy them Chuck E. Cheese, take them to an amusement park, make your car payment, or pay your rent? How dare you? You managed for 13 years not to steal your children's money. Maybe they didn't have any money.
May I say something now?
Sure.
In that amount of time, we have had help from family members. Mr. Gaines's wife is retired and lives with my husband's sister. She has a pension, and she helps us out when need be, out of the goodness of her heart.
Why don't you help yourselves out? Get a job. Get a job. You have 4 children and you can't make it on your husband's salary as a carpenter. Get a job. You don't steal money from your children.
No,
Gotta
I have
put away
every
for the-
intention on paying my children back. I feel that I do not owe the plaintiff any money. I
Oh,
owe
yes,
my
you
children.
do. He's the custodian of the...
He gave these to them as a gift.
Just a second. Oh, you're absolutely right. He gave this money to your children as a gift for their future. That was made clear to you. Clear to you. And the custodian of those accounts is responsible to see to it that that money is used exclusively for the benefit of the children.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Gaines says his son John Gaines and daughter-in-law Cassandra stole money he had gifted to his grandchildren.
If you want to invade that money because of an emergency, then you have to go to surrogate's court and say, I must, let's say it's not $500, let's say it's $500,000. And the child has a medical emergency, and you have no funds to cover the medical emergency. In all probability, a judge would say you may invade the children's money to pay for that emergency. Chuck E. Cheese and pony rides do not constitute an emergency. You are responsible for the Chuck E. Cheese in your children's lives. Your children are not responsible to feed themselves. You are. Your children are not responsible to house themselves. You are. And your children are not responsible for their own amusement. If you wish to amuse yourself on Saturdays, then you pay for the amusement. Otherwise, you don't take $200 to go to an amusement park out of money that's supposed to be for your children's future. That's outrageous.
Okay, so we owe the money to our kids, not to him.
Oh, yes, you do. He's the custodian.
May I also
Can,
say...
can I show you this?
He's the custodian.
No, he turned over everything to us.
Oh, let me
okay?
see it.
Otherwise, how would she have been able to withdraw the money?
Let me see. Let me see. This is a will.
Your Honor,
what are you showing me?
Let me say something.
This is a will when he dies.
Right, Your Honor, but he has been preparing for this a long time. And he told us that's why he made me custodian of these accounts.
Show me. Hey,
they told
quiet,
me I needed to subpoena the records, Your Honor.
Pay careful attention to me. What I have here is the plaintiff as custodian. What I have in your answer is that you were co-custodian.
Correct.
He's a custodian, you're a custodian, right? He's going to take the money that you stole from your children, and I assume you will put it back in a CD in your name as sole custodian.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what you intend
That's
to do?
exactly what I want to do.
Okay. So you have no objection to my taking the names of the 3 children whose accounts they closed?
Yes, ma'am.
What are their names?
Alexandria, Audrey, and Alisa.
He's saying the oldest daughter's name wrong, and it's spelt wrong also.
Alexandria.
No I.
There's no I. It's Alexandra.
Alexandra. Oh, so you think you should be penalized for that? You got some attitude for somebody who took their kids' money for Chuck E. Cheese.
I never even met him until I was 12 years old.
Listen to me.
Where was he?
I don't
He
care.
has 9 kids. Doesn't take care of any of them.
Mr. Gaines, you and your wife have a problem.
Yeah, we do. He's right here.
No. I want to tell you something. If you think that he's your problem, then what you should have said to him was, when he said, I'm going to open these accounts for the children, do me a favor. I don't want you to open any accounts for the children. I don't want to have anything to do with you.
And we did it until he became sober in 1998.
Hey, just a second. So if he became sober, according to you, in 1998, and in 1999, when he put his life together again, he wanted to start to do the right thing, make amends for some of the transgressions that he's had in his life,
You
whatever.
could never do that.
Hey, you stole money money from your children. You're outrageous.
He never paid
now
a
let's
dime
take
of
care
child
of
support.
You stole money from your children.
And we'll give it back to him.
You stole money from your children.
No.
Yes, you did.
No, we didn't.
You said to yourself, I got $2,000 that I can play around with, and I
It
don't have to
wasn't
sweat.
$2,000, Your Honor.
2,000.
Just a minute. You had, hey, Missy Attitude. You had $2,000, $500 for each of your children. The only reason that you're annoyed is that he got to the other $500 before you did. You had $2,000. That's what you had to start
I'm
with.
annoyed because he's family and he's bringing us to court. And I had a phone conversation with him on the phone, and he did nothing but disrespect me and degrade me and call me foul names.
You had a nerve taking this money from your children. You don't seem to get it.
Well, then what does he have to do with it? We took the money from our kids. It was a gift from him.
Not to you. It was a gift to your children.
To our kids, not his kids.
I'll tell you something. If you were my son, maybe I wouldn't see you either. Judgment for the plaintiff on his claim, counterclaim for the $500 that he took back and that he's going to put back into the account is dismissed. Folks are outrageous.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I met him when I was 12 years old for the first time in my
He's not as good
life.
as a grandfather as he portrayed himself or the judge portrayed him.
The first time I met him, he was, falling down drunk.
He stole money from the kids, and he has to pay it back.
And now the next case.
All parties on Messick versus Platts. Step forward, please.
Teenager Crystal Messick and her mother, 44-year-old sales rep Angie Messick, are suing 34-year-old loan officer Jama Platts for unpaid babysitting fees. Jama says she paid Crystal with a trip to Disneyland.
Tell me your name.
Vinny.
Vinny, would you go with Officer Byrd, please? He's going to take you outside. According to your complaint, you babysat for the defendant. She didn't pay you. You babysat for her for a whole summer. The defense by Miss Platts is that she took you on a nice trip. When did you begin working for her?
It was right after my school got out, like the middle of June.
And what was she supposed to pay you? By the hour, by the day?
At the beginning of the summer, she told me $500 for the whole entire summer.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Did she pay you at all?
No.
Did you have a conversation with her about payment?
I asked her several times, and there was always a different excuse.
Like what?
I'm not sure what this whole house deal was, but it was we had to wait for the house to go through, and then it never went through, I guess.
But it's clear that your arrangement with her was that you were going to be paid $500 for the entire summer.
Yeah.
Then why are you suing her for $2,772?
Because when that was the agreement, I didn't know that I would be spending my whole entire summer there. I was staying at her house for like weeks at a time. I cooked and I cleaned. Cleaning was never in the agreement with $500.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Teenager Crystal Messick says during an entire summer, she babysat for Jama Platts. Crystal is suing Jama for not paying her.
But you never changed the arrangement with her, Crystal, about the $500. Is that right?
That's right.
You just continued to go there. And you never said to her, well, this wasn't part of the arrangement.
No.
So really what we're talking about here is $500, because that was your agreement, right? Just curious, how many days a week did you babysit for her?
And at the beginning, it was just like on weekends and during the day. But then in July, I was babysitting every day, every night.
Every day and night?
Yes.
Why didn't you pay her?
I was at that time in the foreclosure business. I had not been paid. I was going through a divorce. Crystal told me she would rather stay with me than with her mother because she was not getting along with her mother.
So?
And let her stay with me.
Well, you let her stay with you, but she took care of your child.
Absolutely.
And you had a contract, a verbal contract with her to pay her $500 for the summer.
And
she did, in fact, babysit for you in July and August every day?
Correct.
You went to business?
Yes.
How much do you think it would have cost you a week to have somebody take care of your child?
$80 probably.
A week?
In Denver, Colorado, yeah.
$80 for an entire week? Is that what you're telling me? 7 days?
To the day, well, Monday through Friday.
And what about on the weekends, in the evening? Did you ever go out?
I would have, yes, I would have paid more than that.
Of course you would have paid more than that, $80 a week. So say, minimally, you would have paid somebody $100 a week.
Correct.
From mid-June until, when did you stop working?
The very end of August.
Our trip was August 28th.
Okay, so you're talking about 10 weeks. So minimally you would have paid somebody else at least double just for babysitting, right?
Yes.
So why didn't you pay her $500?
I took her on a trip to Disneyland.
Well, let me hear about that. That's nice of you.
We went to Disneyland. I had an agreement that with the law settlement that I was supposed to be getting, I got paid a $9,000 check. I took $3,000 of that. I was supposed to be getting paid $120,000 on a foreclosed property.
Yes.
The settlement did not go through.
So you, go ahead.
So I took her to Disneyland
No,
with
go
my
ahead. So
son
you,
and I.
just a second. So at the end of the summer, you got your check. Why didn't
For
you take
$9,000.
Why didn't you take $500 and give her?
I asked her if she would rather have that. She said she wanted to go to Disneyland.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tell me about the conversation.
We were at the kitchen table at my house. I said, do you want to go to Disneyland? I would like to take you and my son to Disneyland as part of payment for being with my son all summer. When the rest of the settlement comes through, I will also pay you the money. The rest of the settlement has never come through. I took her and my son to Disneyland, and we spent 5 days in San Diego, SeaWorld, Disneyland. She agreed that it was verbally on the airplane that that was payment enough. I didn't owe her any more money.
Well, tell me about the conversation that you had with her on the airplane.
I said to her, is this payment enough for what you've done for me this summer?
Why would you ask her such a question, Miss Platts? Why would you place a 14-year-old, and you're an adult, in a position of having a 14-year-old say to you after you've taken her on a trip, is this payment enough? I treated you very well. You expect a 14-year-old, even if you asked her that question, to say to you, no, it's not enough, I expect you to pay me what you owe me, $500? You expect a 14-year-old to be able to stand up to an adult?
I did say that to her. Your
What
Honor.
did you say to her?
I said to her, if my settlement comes through, I will pay you the $500. It's
I don't
never
care what you said to her. You're an adult. You're in a position of control. Why would you say to a 14-year-old and expect an honest answer, is it enough that I took you on this trip?
Because I had just spent $6,000 on the trip.
Not on her.
Yes, on her. Her, my son, and I.
Just a second, I read your answer. She didn't ask you to hire a limousine to take you to and from places, did she?
No, but she was...
She didn't ask you to make the trip a day in advance so that you paid premium price for the plane, right?
Actually, she did.
She's asked you to make
She
the
wanted
arrangement?
She wanted to go immediately on the trip.
Oh, you're so full of baloney. You are so full of baloney.
Okay.
I think your conduct is outrageous. Because not only did you have a 14-year-old who was acting as babysitter, but according to her, and I believe her, she also cleaned up around your house. So for 10 weeks, she not only took care of your 6-year-old, acted as a babysitter, she also cleaned your house. You did some cooking?
Yeah, I cooked for him, for the son.
And ate my food.
So what? That's what you do when somebody's there. What you expect her to do, bring her own food?
No.
Your conduct is outrageous, Miss Platts. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Sheet metal mechanic John Nuttall and his wife Tammy are suing John's ex-wife, 39-year-old billing clerk Karen Thomas. The Nuttall say Karen owes for daycare and orthodontist bills for her and John's daughter.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 49 on the calendar in the matter of Nuttall versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Nuttall, the defendant is your former wife?
Yes.
And this is your present wife?
Right.
How long are you divorced?
Been 10 years.
And you have a child?
Right.
Together? And you have custody of that child?
Yes.
A girl?
Yes.
How old?
13 next week.
I'm a little unclear about what you're suing the defendant for, but I know one thing clearly that you're suing her for is for 1/2 of your daughter's orthodontic bill that she was supposed to provide. Is that correct?
Correct.
What else are you suing her for? Because the amount you're suing her for is substantial. I can't see without my glasses anymore, Bert.
That's why I keep mine on.
1896.
Ever since I received custody, there's been several cases of harassment. It always seems to be towards my wife now. She's probably better off explaining all that.
Mm-hmm. When we first started dating,
how long have you been married?
8 years.
Well, I'm not going back 8 years.
Right. I tried to be friends with her. I tried for the sake of Katie. She got hooked on drugs. She abandoned Katie, and that's when we took custody of her. She would show up to our house.
How old was she at that point?
6.
So Katie's been with you for the last 7 years?
She was failing in school. When we finally got a hold of her teacher, she had missed 27 days of school.
When she was living with her mother?
Right.
Well, Ms.
And-
Thomas acknowledges that she had had a drug and alcohol abuse history.
Right. We took custody of her, and it accelerated from there. A doctor did a home study on her. He came to our home. He told us that she suffers from classic case of failed mother syndrome, which is she can't stand the fact that her daughter is thriving under my care.
And is that your only child?
Yeah, that's not true.
Is that your only child?
No, I have 2 other boys.
Where are they?
They're with their father. One of them's 20, and he's on his own.
So one is 20.
He lives on his own with his grandmother.
How old is the other boy?
16.
And has he always lived with his father?
Not always. He went when I got on drugs.
So about 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, can I see the order for the orthodontic bill?
This is the contract that she had to sign. This is our contract that held us responsible for the full amount in case she defaults. And here's a letter from the orthodontist.
Okay. Where did she sign this?
That was just a copy that I had to fax. We would mail them to her home, and she'd write it.
No, you said that each of you signed a contract with the orthodontist.
Right. Those are just copies, and here's a statement from the...
I want to see where she agreed to pay half. Let me see a document where
She threatened my orthodontist if they gave me any information on her case, so therefore they wouldn't give me a copy of her signature.
Did you ever sign an agreement with the orthodontist to be responsible for half?
Yes, I did.
Why haven't you paid it?
For 2 reasons. I have a letter that was given to me about the braces from my daughter in court on February 1st. Tammy has already poisoned my daughter's mind. She's been trying to... They've changed her middle name because it was like mine. Her brain has been poisoned, and it's gotten to the point where I'm ready to sign my parental rights over because she hates me. This is a message that was left on my phone after not hearing from her or seeing her for 5 years. And this is what my daughter thinks of me now because of her.
Karen, this is Katie. I just left the orthodontist's office, and you haven't paid since October. You are such a loser. You can't even pay that.
Resaved. Next message.
Karen, this is Katie again. You also owe $81.25. If you really cared about me, you would pay. They might stop my treatment in March because of you. You're such a loser.
Okay, so I have a couple of observations. Let's deal with this as expeditiously as possible. I am only entertaining that portion of your claim that involves the orthodontic bills, not for the stress harassment that you claim she has caused you over the 8 years that you've had her daughter. I assume that there has been some of that, and I would assume that during the time that she was heavily involved in drugs and or alcohol, that she did a lot of things that she shouldn't have done. It's one of the reasons that you've been raising this child. However, a 12-year-old child should not know about orthodontic bills, who's supposed to pay, how much money is owed by the mother, that the treatment's going to stop unless she pays the bill, because that doesn't make a child feel good about themselves. Katie doesn't feel good about herself when she feels as if she comes from somebody who she has called a loser, because that's half of her DNA, and she sounds like a smart girl. I probably think at this time, Ms. Thomas, that it's going to be a long road for you to rebuild, if you can at all, a relationship with your daughter. Have you been asked to sign off on your parental rights so that the plaintiff can adopt your daughter?
No, I'm unable to work right now because of stress. I was involved in an armed robbery. And between that and Miss Nuttall, I haven't been able to work. I only make $260 a month. I can't handle the stress from her anymore.
What kind of work do you do?
I have gone back to school. This is my certificate. I have an associate's degree in business, and I get to watch it collect dust on my wall.
So you support yourself solely on $256 a month?
Yes. plus child support and everything, so I end up about $40 by the time I get done paying the child support.
Okay, and you're paying child support?
Yes.
How much do you pay in child support?
$140 a month.
And you get that, $140 a month?
Yeah, her order is $129, and she owes a substantial amount in the arrearage, so she makes that payment.
When was the last time you were in a rehab center?
I've been clean for 3.5 years.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. John and Tammy Nuttall say John's ex-wife, Karen Thomas, won't pay her share of her daughter's daycare and orthodontist bills.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a sheet metal worker.
And do you work outside of the home?
I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a driver license examiner.
So you both have pretty reasonable jobs. Do you have other children?
We do. We have 3 other children.
How old are they?
16, Katie's 13, Taylor is 11, and Trevor is 6.5.
So you've got a full plate yourself.
We do.
She can't help you anymore.
Karen?
Right. $140 a month based upon what she earns is a substantial amount of money, which she is paying.
If I may, she's only paying because there is a 5-day jail sentence hanging over her head.
That may be. You're not talking to somebody who has a firm grip on life, right?
Right.
If Miss Thomas had a really firm grip on life and felt in control of things, there would be a substantial likelihood that Katie would be with her and her 2 sons as well. She lost that, so she doesn't have that kind of control that she should. She is sending support. I'm sure it doesn't cover Katie's needs. I don't believe at this point she can do any better. She's not making any excuses. I mean, she knows that she probably did some terrible things to her children by neglecting them for a long time while she was involved in substance abuse and before they were removed from her custody. Fair statement, Ms. Thomas?
Katie was hurt for a very long time.
There's no question about that, because there was a lack of understanding. If you're a little bit older, sometimes you understand how substance abuse can take hold of you, and it's hard to shake it. It's hard to get that off your back. But when you're 5 or 6 years old, that's a hard thing to get over.
We would try to encourage her relationship with her mother, and then her birthdays would come along, and Christmas, Valentine's, Easter, nothing. Not even a phone call, not a card. Well, she did send her a postcard from either Oregon or Washington once, which she still has on her dresser. She gave her, her mother told us that she bought her a gift to give to her, which was some overall shorts. And I think the most memorable gift that Karen has given her was a rose from a gas station for Christmas one time. And that's it. That is the extent of her acknowledgement of her.
Miss Thomas is now paying the price for all of that.
Right.
How old are you, Miss Thomas?
39.
She's 39 years old. She's by herself. She is estranged from her daughter. And at age 39, she's trying to rebuild a life. It sounds to me like you have a pretty good life.
We work hard, though.
You work hard.
We do.
But you have a firm grip. You're lucky. I'm certain that if Miss Thomas had made the right choices earlier on, she would have loved to be standing where you're standing. She made the wrong choices. For whatever reason, she made the wrong choices. And you do not have an order with regard to these bills, but I find that there is an impossibility of her performing her agreement to pay for half of the orthodontic bill for Katie, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I should be allowed to see my daughter. I haven't seen her for 6 years.
She doesn't have good memories with her mother. She only can remember bad things.
When I get back home, I'm signing my parental rights order because I can't deal with this anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties on Franks versus Goff. Step forward, please.
26-year-old radio producer Steve Franks is suing former friend, 26-year-old mortgage broker Heather Goff, for a loan and a U-Haul rental.
Mr. Franks, you claim that in a time of financial difficulty, you loaned the defendant some money and paid for some moving expenses for her from where you live, which is where, in Chicago?
Correct.
To Florida, where she wanted to move with her son. She says there were no loans, just a series of gifts that you made to her. Mr. Franks, how do you know the defendant?
She is a friend. I've known her for about 2 years.
Did you ever date her?
No.
So tell me the circumstances surrounding you making this initial loan.
The initial was a check I have for $2,000. What it did is it covered a lot of back bills that she had. It was right after Christmas time, and she had spent a lot of money on her son, and it left her short on rent and other bills. And I asked her if she would like to borrow the money, and she said yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I trusted him. New Year's Eve, I passed out on the couch and I woke up in the middle of the night to him trying to do things to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve Franks says former friend Heather Goff stiffed him on a series of loans. Heather says they were all gifts.
Tell me about it. I want to know exactly. She had a lot of loans. She had a lot of bills.
Right.
Where were you when you had this discussion?
We were at her house. I just came over to visit, and we were just discussing her financial situation, and she was crying, and she's saying that her son's the only person in the world she has, and she has no other friends, and I just wanted to help out. I'm in a good financial position.
I just want you to tell me what you said to her. She's sitting there on the couch crying. You're in a good financial position, according to you. So what did you say to her, Mr. Franks?
I asked her if she would like to borrow the money, any money that she needed to get herself on her feet. And
what did she say?
She said yes.
Did you come up with a figure?
Yes, we talked about it a little bit, and I said, well, how about $2,000? And that was supposed to leave her even a couple $100 extra to play with.
What was the payment plan that you made with her to return this money?
We didn't set any kind of payment plans. We were good friends. It wasn't something we discussed. She would pay me as much as she could whenever she could.
I mean, was that discussed?
Yes.
When was it discussed?
At that point, too.
Well,
and at many other points throughout our friendship.
Well, no. I want to know about this.
This night?
This night. Get to the language used.
The language used would be that she would not have to repay me until after she moved. We knew she wanted to move. She was going to change her life. She's going to be in a better financial position after she moved. And that at that point, she would be more structured. She would be able to make some kind of arrangements.
Okay. So then she's getting ready to move to Florida, and you say you rented a U-Haul for her?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you rent the U-Haul for her?
She also did not have the money at that point.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that move.
She did not have the money to put up for a U-Haul. And the circumstances were talking about it, and again, I asked her if she would like to borrow the money for the U-Haul. And she also said yes. And
when was this?
That was the night before this receipt right here.
Okay, can I see it, please?
Your Honor, if you'd also like to see the proof that I did pay for these, I have the credit card that matches the numbers on.
No, I believe you, sir.
Okay.
I believe you. She doesn't even dispute it. So what you claim she owes you is $2,000 for the loan, which you have a check, $238 and $374.
I believe the other item you should have in front of you is for a transmission job. Her transmission on her vehicle went out right before she was scheduled to move.
Let's hear about the transmission.
The transmission and actually the U-Haul were discussed about the same time. They were happened at the same time. She took the truck to the transmission shop, and I knew that she wasn't going to have the money to get it out. And the night came before, again, she was crying on my shoulder, said, I'm not going to be able to do this, Steve, and her move would have been denied if she could not have done it.
So what? So what?
So I felt I should be a good friend and do it. I inherited a lot of money, and it was not a burden on me to loan her this money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now I'll hear you.
Okay, we were friends for about 2 years, just like you said. I was in a lot of financial distress. I had had a roommate who had been taking advantage of me. I had somebody break into my house and steal my money. And I had somebody steal my car, and it got impounded, and, you know, just a bunch of different things compounded together, and I had problems. I never asked him for anything.
So you didn't mind taking all these things?
Well, no, I did not. I'll answer that.
I'm glad you answered that. What about paying him back for some of these things?
We never see. It was always a gift. It was always.
And what
something-
about paying him back as a moral person?
As a moral person.
As a moral person, let's talk about the fact
a
that
moral
you got to
person.
Florida and you cut off all contact with him, okay?
Okay. On Christmas Eve, he confessed his love to me and whatnot. And then
Yes.
on New Year's Eve, we went out as friends. I trusted him.
Just
I
a minute,
trusted
hold
him
on a
as
second.
friend.
So Christmas Eve, he tells you that he loves you. And what do you say to him?
I said, I can't do that. That's, I don't feel that way. We're great friends and I'll always be your friend, and went on like that. And he agreed to that. He didn't have a problem with that. He said that we could continue to be friends and there would be no strange feelings because of what he said. New Year's Eve came along. I trusted him. We went out together to be with friends and whatnot. And we came back to my apartment like we always did. We're friends. I passed out on the couch and I woke up in the middle of the night to him trying to do things to me.
Now it's on New Year's Eve?
Yes, and I was
And
very
then-
intoxicated. I passed out.
Then 4 days later, you borrowed $2,000 from him. You took $2,000 from him.
I did not borrow any money
Just a
from
second.
him.
4 days later, after he told you that he loved you, and you found him, according to you, groping you on the couch New Year's Eve, 4 days later, you took $2,000 from him.
I needed help.
Pay it back! Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,612. That's it.
All right, excused. You may step out.